Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Welcome to another recap compilation. Today we'll be starting in the spring court and traveling all the way to the summer court, really just kind of everywhere, as we recap A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Before we begin, if you guys would be so kind as to like, subscribe, hit that little bell at the top because it does something. So buckle in and get a cup of molten chocolate because we're about to go over every chapter, every tiny little bit of Tamlin getting upset about absolutely nothing, and we're going to fall in love with the most attractive High Lord. Those are his words, not mine, but he's right. Rhysand. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Chapter 1, let's go. Right off the bat, I'm thrown for a loop because this book is in parts. Part 1, House of the Beasts. Coincidentally, an awesome name for a 90s rap group. This book starts off 3 months after the events under the mountain. It sounds like Farah's working through some of her trauma that developed. She's been having a ton of nightmares lately, and this one made her throw up. There's also been an adjustment period for her new high fae body, and it sounds like she's been breaking a lot of stuff. Initially, I thought this was hilarious until I learned that Alice did get her old job back, and she's probably the one that has to clean all this up. We learn that Rhysand has not contacted Farah in months. Maybe the deal's off. I don't think so. Farah notes that the palm tattoo seems to be watching her lately. If the tattoo is watching, it's seen some things. Because Tamlin's asleep on the bed, not wearing any clothes. Thought this was weird, but Tamlin doesn't seem to know anything about Farah's nightmares or her throwing up. She tried to talk to him about it once, but he went beast mode mid-conversation and just started guarding the door all night. That's one way to get out of a conversation. This chapter ends with Farah revealing that she feels broken, like there's a stain on her soul. Prediction time. Don't call it a comeback. I think Rhysand's been here the whole time, just watching and waiting for the funniest or creepiest time to pop out, like some kind of Jack-in-the-Box from a Tim Burton movie. I think that Alice was probably very thankful that Farah became a hero and saved the entire realm, and I think that's gonna fade pretty quickly if she has to keep cleaning up her messes. I think Tamlin's on guard likely because he knows Rhysand's up to something, less likely because he's emotionally walled off and hates talking about his feelings. Also, I think that Amarantha is not gone. I have no foundation for this, but I also just feel like we didn't see her getting burned, and that's really sticking with me. I watch a lot of horror movies, and every time you take your eye off the bad guy, you get a sequel. Chapter 2, let's go. So Farah wants to go help rebuild the nearby village, and Tamlin is like, no way, young lady. Farah is now a symbol of peace and stability in Prythian, so Tamlin must protect her at all costs. Also, he's got to go hunt down all of Amarantha's cronies, so he doesn't really have time for this. Oh, by the way, Farah and Tamlin are engaged. Farah is rapidly realizing that the life of a High Lord's wife is kinda lame. Well, at least she only has to do this for the rest of eternity. All of Tamlin's employees are treating Farah like the savior and hero that she is. Even Alice. They won't even let her help with the wedding. They're like, you've done enough. Also, Farah has not been painting at all since she's gotten back. Sounds like she's afraid of what might come out. After a long argument about letting her go out, Farah finally concedes to Tamlin. She decides to take a PTO day and hang out at the manor. Tamlin says, I love you before leaving, and Farah kinda just mumbles it back. Her fear of commitment is clearly getting better, and just in time for her wedding. As the soon-to-be wife of a High Lord of Spring Court, Farah's dressing a lot like Jackie Kennedy now. A lot of pastel dresses, big hair, no visible. She hates it. Okay, I like Farah, but dude, invite your family to the wedding. That's cold. You're gonna deny Elaine a chance to see the beautiful gardens of Spring Court? New character alert, Ianthe. She is one of 12 high priestesses, Tamlin's former childhood friend. Oh, and also competition. She's back to rebuild the temple in Spring Court. She helps Farah and Tamlin plan the wedding, and she worships the two like heroes. Despite Farah hearing the human rumors of the high priestesses, they are encouraged to reproduce. Given their spiritual status, it's actually frowned upon not to. Competition. She fled Prythian during Amarantha's reign, kinda dodged all of that. Oh, and she loves to indulge in all the bachelors of Prythian. Competition. We find out that Tamlin still has his own separate bedroom in the manor. Uh-oh, red flag. But he still spends every night in Farah's room. Thank the cauldron. Things get real spicy that night, and I learn a lot more about Tamlin than I really needed to know. I mean, I was curious. Right in the middle of all the spice, Farah just starts a conversation with Tamlin about what it really means to be the wife of a High Lord. He describes kind of like a first lady gig, and she hates it. But Tamlin avoids this conversation by using that silver tongue of his, and Farah stands no chance. Prediction time. I've got a bad feeling about this Ianthe character. She's got looks, skills, and holy status. Triple threat. I'm jealous for Farah, and she's probably gonna have to leave for a week to go to Night Court. Don't leave these two alone. I think Lucien either has a crush on Ianthe, or he despises her for fleeing Prythian. I can't tell. Either way, I think he needs a girlfriend. We still have no sign of Rhysand. Fingers crossed, he just needed time to get Night Court ready to have a lady visitor. Taking down a bunch of dartboards and cleaning up his socks. I think that Dad, Nesta, and Elaine are all about to crash the wedding so that they can meet Tamlin and tell him all of Farrah's embarrassing childhood stories. Chapter 3, let's go! Lucian finally invites Farrah to the village with him. Farrah is super jazzed about leaving the estate right now because she hasn't in 3 months, and I'm sure that's not helping her claustrophobia. Farrah is being very sassy with Lucian. She's real sick of being protected this hard. Lucian explains that Farrah needs to be protected this hard because if she ever fell into the enemy hands, they would get whatever they wanted out of Tamlin. And they know that. And we finally get some insight into something I've been wondering since the first page of book 1. Fae taxes? Yeah, apparently even in paradise you have to pay taxes. It's called the tithe. Teeth? It happens twice a year and all of the members of Spring Court have to do it. They have 3 days to pay, and if they don't, very reasonable punishment, Tamlin gets to hunt them down legally. Okay, our taxes don't seem that bad. Farrah says she doesn't want to marry a High Lord, she wants to marry Tamlin. And she just keeps pushing this issue with Lucian, till he finally plays the I lost my love and I won't see it happen to you card. Works every time. Including this one. Farrah decides that she can give Tamlin some time. Really? You can give him some time? That thing you have literally an endless amount of? The two arrive in town, and it's being rebuilt. The only things completed being the tavern and the well. Looks like the Fae aren't so different than you and I. Priorities. Farrah has a new nickname, Farrah Cursebreaker? That's pretty metal. The two offer help to anyone they see, and once again they're told their debt is paid and they've done enough. I'm also guessing Farrah probably doesn't look too handy? Lucian explains to Farrah that she's a reminder of what they went through under the mountain. Apparently Amarantha kept the lesser Fae in a series of tunnels, completely dark, no air, and they kinda went a little bit feral. Now they're just trying to get life back to normal, rebuild their town, hang out at the tavern, go to a friend's wedding. After hearing all of this, Farrah decides that maybe her wedding is gonna be a big deal for Spring Court. Prediction time. Okay, so Farrah is going to be way too casual about her recent most wanted Fae in the realm status. I think she's going to be captured, fall directly into enemy hands at some point. I predict that Lucian is going to get a girlfriend in this book. I want him to. He's just so sad, and I feel like I can fix him. I think the ACOTAR is completely gone. He retired. We're not going to see him again outside of Florida. And I predict that Rhysand's bound to show up any day now because I need him to. I need him to give us some closure on that whole shocked look he left us with. Chapter 4. Let's go. Guests are arriving to the wedding days in advance. If you've never hosted an event, let me tell you, very rude. Farrah is Miss Popular, and she hates having to be on the entire time. She is clinging to Ianthe's side, which is counterintuitive because her milkshake is bringing all the boys to the yard. 2 of Tamlin's sentries walk up, Braun and Hart, and they are just way too forward about everything. They ask about Farrah's tattoo, which up until this point everyone's been nice enough not to mention. They say that they're on the lookout, but Rhysand must be running scared. Farrah says, you must not know Rhysand. What a weird time to defend Rhysand. Ianthe says not to worry because the High Priestesses are also on Rhysand watch. Hearing that, Farrah wonders if this was the entire reason Tamlin invited her here. Farrah has another aggressive nightmare about the second trial, but she's able to get back to bed, which is good because she needs that beauty sleep for her big day. Wedding day has arrived. Farrah hates her dress, and going off the description, it sounds like she's wearing a deflated bounce house, but with more frills. She has a very bad attitude for someone about to have the happiest day of their life. Honestly though, I think she just hates people. She begins to walk down the aisle and sees Tamlin looking fine in his cute little green tunic. Farrah can't shake the feeling that she's unworthy of Tamlin, and unworthy of wearing white, especially if this takes place after Labor Day. The closer she gets to the altar, the more she starts freaking out in her head. She's worried about people judging her, she's worried about shackling Tamlin to her if she's broken. She slows down her walking to the point where everybody notices her hesitation. Tamlin reaches out his hand for her. Even Ianthe tries to pull this thing back on the rails, but it really seems like she's about to just call the entire thing off. She silently cries out for someone, anyone, to come to her rescue, and it sounds like her wish is granted. With a thunderous clap, Rhysand is crashing the wedding. Yes. And he's just all, hello, darling. Sassy and classy, what a guy. Prediction time. I predict that Rhysand showed up to this wedding empty-handed. His presence is the present. Also, I think he's totally about to cash in on this bargain. And timing-wise, this is pretty on brand for him. There's probably not much that anyone can do to break a magic bargain, so I think Farrah's in for a ride to the Night Court. And in that time, I fear that Ianthe is definitely going to make a move on Tamlin. I predict as soon as this all blows over, Farrah's family is going to walk in. The dad's gonna be like, hi, father of the bride, nice to meet ya. I brought macaroni salad. Chapter 5, let's go. Rhysand is back in black, and he's ready to ruin a lucky couple's wedding day. The crowd scatters, Ianthe literally runs away, starting to think Lucien doesn't have a crush on this wimp. Rhysand is here to take Farah away for 1 week in the Night Court, and he truly is gifted when it comes to being annoying. Tamlin pushes back a little bit, but it sounds like this bargain is ironclad. He's not even going to consult his attorney, so he's like, my hands are tied, and he lets her go. And after a quick yet turbulent ride, they're in the Night Court. And wouldn't you know it, Farah immediately forgets all about Spring Court and says that Night Court is the most beautiful place she's ever seen. Called it. Rhysand's house is on top of a mountain. Night Court is snowy, but warm somehow. Everything is made of moonstone and smells like jasmine. Exactly how I imagine the inside of Prince's house. Turns out this is Rhysand's personal residence. Oh, and he's gotten a lot hotter and tanner since we last saw him. Rhysand apparently heard Farah's silent plea for help, and that she was about to call off the entire wedding. Yikes. And right away he starts throwing shade at Tamlin. He's like, Ianthe and Tamlin just want to turn you into a damsel. I bet he hasn't even asked about your nightmares or your throwing up yet. Does he know that you haven't been painting or why? And honestly, those are 3 great points. Before going to bed, Rhysand makes one more little comment to Farah, and she handles it with class and grace. Just kidding, she throws her shoe at his head. As he's leaving, Farah hears a female voice that she doesn't recognize say, well, that went well. Don't know who it is, but I can already tell I'm gonna like her. Farah goes to her room and finds out that she's in the high roller suite. This room is bonkers, yo. She got an infinity pool for a bathtub, giant plush bed, lights that turn on and off when she claps. It's bougie. She spends the rest of the night worrying that everybody at the wedding saw her hesitate. I mean, they did. And then she cries herself to sleep. The next morning, she's awoken by her old Night Court pals. Turns out their names are Nuala and Caradwyn? We're gonna go with Caradwyn. Also, it's the morning, and there's sun out. Night Court is not perpetually night. It's kind of a bummer. Rhysand explains that while they can control the seasons, they can't really do anything about the sun. And we get some info on the bargain bond that Farah and Rhysand are locked into. Their minds are connected. When Farah gets emotional, she's basically shouting her thoughts at him. Rhysand says he only ever really digs through her mind when he thinks that she's in danger. Aw. And with proper training, Farah can learn to shield her thoughts from him. Well, others like him, not necessarily him. He's gonna keep that door open. She asks what Rhysand wants from her, and he's gonna teach her to read. Prediction time. I'm calling it, Rhysand is a good guy. I knew he had some good in him, but teaching her to read seems inherently good. I think that Nuala and Caradwyn are dating Rhysand. I don't know why, I just feel like they'd make a very cute throuple. I think Tamlin's going to spend the entire week eating expiring wedding cake, and he's going to be very bloated when Farah returns. I predict Farah's going to have a long talk with Tamlin when she returns about her feelings, and he's gonna love that. I also predict that the voice in Rhysand's room is more than his nighttime companionship, and she knows all about what he's up to. Chapter 6, let's go! Farah is reluctant to do anything with Rhysand, but he explains that the wife of a High Lord will be expected to know how to read and write. It's like the bare minimum. And he's willing to throw in some shielding lessons for free. I know a bargain when I see one. Farah breaks another fork, and Rhysand mentions that between this and the shoe incident, she seems pretty strong for a High Fae. He hints that maybe she's got some unknown powers from the gifts of the 7 High Lords. And we've unlocked a new character. Morrigan comes to breakfast. The voice from last night, turns out she's Rhysand's cousin and only remaining relative. So he's stuck with her. She's straightforward, she has a great sense of humor, stunningly beautiful, and she really knows how to get under Rhysand's skin. Morrigan messes with Rhysand until he leaves to go start the reading lesson. She's like, yo, Farah, if you ever want to hang out, just yell. I've got an air hockey table in my room. It's a total chill zone. Class is in session, and after a short lesson on the alphabet, Rhysand shifts gears to a hard lesson on shielding. He starts rooting around Farah's brain, and he's like, prevent me from being here. Farah is not good at this at first. She asks Rhysand when this bargain will end. He tells her that he is not her enemy, despite what others may have said. Looking at you, Big T. Rhysand leaves her an hour for independent study. He returns to check on her reading, which is but her shielding progress is coming along quite nicely for someone who literally learned how to do it just an hour ago. The two go upstairs to a giant open room filled with large maps of Prythian. Night Court is left blank for some reason. They look at the map, and Rhysand asks Farah what she sees. She says, a world divided. He asks her if it should be divided. She's like, why? And he says that war is coming. I don't like the sound of that. Prediction time. Rhysand is not a bad guy. I figured it out in the last book when pretty much everything that seemed bad about him actually turned out to be him making a defense play to save the realm. I think it's just all the black clothes. This should be a lesson to all of us not to judge a book by its cover. Speaking of books, I think that Farah is going to learn to shield perfectly well before she learns how to read. I think the battle is coming from the Highburn King. If not him, I have no idea who. But we already know that this guy hates humans, and it kind of sounds like there's nothing going on in Highburn. The guy's probably so bored. Also, Farah said she felt extremely extremely claustrophobic in Tamlin's manner as of late, and now she's in a court with the most open floor plan I've ever imagined. I predict that this is where she needs to be to heal, and that it won't be long before she's valuing the week in Night Court over her time in Spring Court. Sorry, Big Tam. Chapter 7, let's go. Feyre has assumed that Rhysand would be the one invading the mortal land, and she pleads with him not to. Why would it be him? Why would he tell her? He's insulted. He's like, that's it, put up your shield. Feyre thinks to herself, and probably Rhysand, that Tamlin knew about the impending threat and didn't tell her because of all the coddling, and she is not happy at that idea. Here's what we learn. The Highburn King has been planning this attack for the last 100 years. Called it. Amarantha was an experiment to see how long one of his commanders could hold down a territory. Well, that went well. His first move would be to completely level Prythian, as it's the only thing that stands between him and the mortal world. Then he's gonna level that too. Probably put up like condos or something. Once he's destroyed Prythian and shattered the wall, he would use the ensuing panic to his advantage and just go scorched earth. And we find out that he's got some silent allies here in Prythian. Cowards. We find out that Rhysand fought in the human Fey, and he allied with the humans. I knew I liked him. He tells Feyre that he brought her here for 2 reasons. 1, Tamlin has connections to Highburn and he'd like to use them. That being said, he doesn't really get along with the guy. Feyre's a nice in-between. 2, he needs to use her trapping skills, but more importantly, he trusts her. Oh, and also, she might have like some lingering residual powers given by the 7 High Lords that let her do really cool stuff. Way to bury the lead on that one. The way he sees it, she's got 2 options. Stay in Spring Court and be a pawn, or come to Night Court, learn how to fight, learn all your new powers, and become a superhero. Feyre doesn't see Rhysand for the rest of the week, but he does leave her with a big old pile of reading homework. She only has a couple nightmares while she's in Night Court. No throwing up though, and that's a win. A couple days later, she overhears Rhys and Mor talking about something. She doesn't even try to eavesdrop anymore. She literally just walks up and stands on the edge of their conversation. Turns out, a temple in Césaire was attacked and they don't know who did it. They mention Azrael and Cassian, 2 newbies in the book, and they're awaiting Rhysand's orders. We learn that Rhysand's little disappearing trick is actually called winnowing, and it's essentially just stepping through a wormhole. Before Rhysand takes Feyre home, he asks if she's considered her options. She's like, I'll tell you next month. He reminds her that he is not her enemy, and she's like, any enemy of Tamlin is an enemy to me. Okay. He takes her back to Spring Court and says good luck. And like a true High Lady of Spit Court, she tries to spit on him, but he's too quick and he winnows away. Tamlin's real happy to see Feyre, but it looks like he went beast mode all over the place while she was gone. Here's a wedding present idea, Feyre. Get him a scratching post. Their reunion starts to get a little spicy, but Tamlin interrupts it to grill her about everything she learned in Night Court. Always the romantic, this guy. Feyre spills all the beans, literally every one of them. Lucien says that if she does have residual powers from the High Lords, they're gonna want those back. And Feyre realizes that Tamlin is a protector and she can never change that. Also, she doesn't know if Rhysand messed with her mind. Prediction time. Feyre is absolutely having a better time in Night Court than she is in Spring Court right now. She just won't admit it to herself yet. I predict that the Highburn King threat has already arrived, and he's just taken out temples like the one in Césaire. Salad. I think that Tamlin is going to lose Feyre if he doesn't stop coddling her and ruining all their spicy times with talks of strategy. I think Ianthe bolted during the wedding, and we won't be seeing her again. I'm okay with that. And I don't think Feyre is going to do any of her homework this month, and Professor Rhysand's going to give her detention on a Saturday. Chapter 8, let's go. It's been a week since Feyre returned from Night Court, and it's been kinda lame. Feyre and Tamlin had one date day, and then he got called away to the border for mysterious business. I don't like where their relationship is headed. Oh, and Feyre's throwing up again. You know what'll take her mind off things? The tithe! Nothing like collecting taxes from people that can barely pay them to really chill you out. Tamlin sits on a throne as a line of Spring Court citizens come to make their payments. Feyre sits next to him and people just can't stop gushing over her. She hates it. A gray-skinned lesser Fae approaches. She has webbed fingers, pointy teeth, black eyes. Oh, and she isn't wearing any clothes. Seems a little informal for a government-sanctioned event, but hey, to each their own. She represents the water wraiths. She explains that there's no more fish in her pond, so she can't pay. Tamlin says she can skip this one, but she's gotta pay double on the next one. That seems harsh, but to be fair, taking the shirt off her back wasn't really an option. If she can't pay by the next one, it's hunting season. Fishing season? Whatever it is, he's gonna need a permit. Feyre tells Tamlin that they don't need any of these things, and there's no point in making these people starve. She's been there, and she's not letting this one go. He tells her that if he gave her a break, he'd have to give everyone a break. This is how his dad did it, and this is how his son will do it. What an inappropriate time to bring up the let's have kids conversation. Feyre sees that this is no time to have this argument, so she gets up to chase down the water wraith, very publicly. Feyre gives the water wraith her diamonds. She says, go pay with these, and then get yourself a little snack. The wraith says, me and my sisters will never forget about this. And I didn't realize how much I missed the Lucian, Tamlin, Feyre awkward dinners, but they are so back. Feyre and Tamlin get into a huge fight, and Lucian's just sitting there like a kid who wants to go play video games. It's like, here we go again. Feyre gets so heated that she slams her hands on the table and for a moment jumps into Lucian's mind. I can't tell if he notices. She also thinks that when she slammed her hands on the table, she left 2 burning handprints. Prediction time. I predict that a week at the Night Court is gonna start looking real good if Tamlin doesn't stop coddling Feyre. Although if she gets superpowers, she can probably take them. Okay, whether she knows it or not, Feyre is taking Rhysand's advice. By helping the Water Wraiths, she's created an ally, and now she's becoming vital to Prythian. She's actually surprisingly great at politics. I hope she doesn't have to kiss any Water Wraith babies, though. I predict that Samuel L. Jackson will show up at the end of this book and invite Feyre to join the Avengers Initiative. Feyre and Tamlin just got in a big old fight at dinner, and I think the real threat to Spring Court is poor communication. They're like one honest conversation away from all their problems being solved. Maybe. Chapter 9, let's go. Feyre is pacing in her room, praying to the cauldron that she does not have heat hands. That's such a cool superpower, I don't know why she wouldn't want it. Alice shows up, and she heard about the whole water wraith thing. She says that their curse is their appetite, and many people of Prythian have met a watery grave due to it. Nobody would have done this for them. Also, the money won't last them a week. Called it. Feyre's like, okay, did you just come in here to make fun of my decisions? Get to the point, girl. Then she says that they'll never forget this, they're indebted to Feyre, and word will travel of her kindness. She kind of made it nice there at the end. It's past midnight, and Feyre is tired of waiting for Tamlin, so she goes to his study. He's just sitting in there silently, but it looks like he got an apology gift for her. Feyre tries to apologize for her side in this, but he cuts her off and says, no, I was wrong, you're right. That's how you husband. Feyre opens the gift to find a travel paint set, which immediately reminds her of all the terrible things she's done. Okay, so he hasn't been paying attention at all. These two finally start to have an honest conversation. Feyre says that she can't take the suffocation, the guards, the watching, all of it, but maybe someone else can. Yikes. Tamlin asks if she wants to marry him still. I mean, yeah, I don't know how else to take that last one. She says she feels like she's drowning, and each new century that he adds to her watch is like him pushing her head underwater. Very dramatic, but I get what she's saying. Just when Feyre really starts to be open and honest, the room explodes. Prediction time. Spring Court is under attack. I think Feyre is not only about to learn that she has powers, but this means that Tamlin can no longer deny a threat. If Rhysand wasn't the cause of the explosion, I think he's about to show up and save the day. If he was the cause of the explosion, stellar job. That came out of nowhere. I did not see it coming. I think that the Water Wraiths are going to nominate Feyre to be the next High Lord of Spring Court, and they're going to run a very aggressive smear campaign against Tamlin. I think that Feyre really wants to marry Tamlin, but I don't think he's going to be able to change the way she needs him to. And now I'm reevaluating every single thing I know about these books. He needs to listen to the song Hold On Loosely. He's clinging too tight and he's going to lose control. Okay, so all of my predictions for the last chapter were completely wrong. Not just the jokey ones. Tamlin has a hotter head than I initially thought, and Feyre's definitely about to get a letter from Hogwarts in the mail because she has magic powers. Chapter 10, let's go. Tamlin is devastated from the explosion. Feyre seems completely unharmed. Probably has something to do with the swirling bubble of air that she created to shield herself. I could be wrong. Turns out Tamlin caused the blast, and that's just kind of something that happens when he gets too angry. There goes any chance those two had of talking things out like adults. The comment Feyre made about feeling like she was drowning really got to him. He realized that he was no better than their former captors. Okay, so he was mad at himself, but like, dude, you gotta go to anger management because that is not cool. He apologizes for like a full 2 minutes, and Feyre doesn't really say she accepts it, but she does give him a hug. That kind of counts. Would have liked to have heard it. They sweep the whole air shield thing under the rug, and in the days to follow, Tamlin worships Feyre. He even loosens up on the guards. Is this how transparent men are when they feel guilty? Feyre realizes that when the two met, they were perfect for each other. She needed a protector, and Tamlin is first and foremost that. She doesn't know what she needs now, and she's way too scared to open that door. For the next few days, she hides away in the library and works on her reading homework. She pretty much stops talking to people, starts sleeping in. She's been wearing sweatpants all week long, and I'm pretty sure there's been a mustard stain on her shirt since Wednesday. Things kind of start getting back to normal for the two, until the day Feyre wakes up and hears Tamlin trying to kick somebody out of the house. It's already been a month, and despite my prediction, Feyre did finish Professor Rhysand's assignments. She tells Tamlin that maybe mending things with Rhysand would be a good idea if there is an impending threat coming. He's like, no way. Until he releases you from that bargain, I'm not doing any of that. Rhysand reaches out his hand for Feyre to whisk her away, and Tamlin slaps it down. He says he'll give Rhysand anything he wants to call off the bargain. Rhysand gives him a cheeky little look and he's like, I already have everything I want. And then he vanishes away with Feyre. This dude is smooth. Prediction time. I don't think Rhysand's gonna be very happy when he finds out about the whole thing, but I don't think his anger will last long when he learns that Feyre is an airbender now, possibly even the Avatar. I predict that Lucien's about to use all of his PTO because Tamlin has got to just be unbearable during this week. I think all the progress that Tamlin just made about being less protective is going to go right out the window every single time Rhysand comes to take Feyre away. It's only a matter of time before Rhysand and Tamlin become buddies and make amends, and after that we're well on our way to a Top Gun volleyball scene. Feyre is back for yet another week at her favorite all-inclusive resort, the Night Court. Rhysand hasn't felt anything come through the bond all month. Well, other than a little bit of terror at one point, it's like no big deal, not worth mentioning. Chapter 11, let's go. Morrigan is out on business this week. Dang it. Rhysand wants Feyre's help with the impending threat against the Highburn King, but her pesky old allegiance to the big baby of Springcourt keeps getting in the way. Rhysand has to go take care of some business, so he leaves a stack of books and a note at Feyre's door. Going out, money on counter for pizza, call if you need anything. Days go by, and Feyre does not need anything. She's reading a book. Look at her go. When Rhysand returns with some food, and she is hungry. She goes to eat some, and it magically slides out of reach. Rhysand! He wants to know how he can help her get out of her funk. She's very dismissive, so she just goes back to reading. But the High Lord of Annoyance closes her book. She feels an icy rage and her fingertips frost over a little bit. Fire and ice powers, my Avatar theory is coming to fruition. She's definitely annoyed, and Rhysand's like, whatever, just hit me up when you want to play. Feyre realizes that she has been emotionally and mentally free-falling since the events under the mountain, so she handles it exactly how I would, and she eats her feelings. When Rhysand takes her back to Springcourt, Tamlin's waiting by a tree for her. He's like, go back inside. And at this point, I think she realizes that there's not going to be any fun times in the near future. Rhysand tells her through the bond to fight it. It's like, peace out, Girl Scouts. And then he winnows away. Feyre once again spills the entire can of beans to Tamlin, and the next morning she wakes up to find more guards than there were before. Prediction time. Feyre's slowly developing ice powers had to be the reason she got such cold feet on her wedding day, right? I predict that the increased guards and sentries are just going to lead to Feyre eventually staying at the Night Court. It stinks here. I think that Tamlin ignoring her developing powers is really dumb. They're definitely coming in, and without any training, I fear she's gonna lose it on somebody. Let's hope she doesn't have that whole blowing up power that he does, and let's really hope Lucien lays off the snarky comments for a minute. I think that the business that Morrigan was attending was probably something super cool. It was like buying a tiger or driving up the Pacific coast in a Camaro. She's so cool. I'm finally starting to get all the comments about Tamlin. Feyre's back in Springcourt and apparently under house arrest. He's being a real turd right now. Chapter 12, let's go. Tamlin and Lucien are away on business, and all the nameless high-fae squatters that usually just chill around the mansion have all been dismissed. This place is on lockdown. Feyre is getting real cagey and realizing that this cannot be her eternity. She spends her days reading books to maintain her sanity. Honestly, so relatable. When Tamlin and Lucien return, Ianthe has some news that she's got to share, not with Feyre. And Lucien seems to be the only one that notices she accidentally ejects a little bit of claw. Lucien pulls her aside and asks how long this has been happening. Apparently this is the first time. I don't believe that. He says that he'll talk to Tamlin and Ianthe about starting her training. Feyre is not optimistic. She overhears their conversation and it sounds like Ianthe hates the idea, and Tamlin says absolutely not. He's like, don't push me on this. I want to push him so bad on this. Ianthe also throws in a nice little tidbit about how if the High Lords don't hunt her down, they might just keep her around to make little High Lords. Gross. Gross. The next day, Tamlin and Lucien are heavily armed as they head for the western border to deal with a threat. Uh-oh, that's the closest border to Highburn. Feyre begs and pleads with Tamlin to let her go with him. After like 100 no's, she's like, fine, I'm just gonna follow you there. And Tamlin is very mature about this. He throws a force field around the entire house before winnowing away. Dude is so lame right now. To add insult to injury, Lucien explains that people can go in and out, just not her. Feyre is losing it right now. Claustrophobia at an all-time high. Before she remembers that she might be able to winnow away, she can't. She's freaking out. She wraps herself in fire and darkness and ice before passing out? Wait, what happened? She wakes up just in time to hear Alice say, please take care of her, and pass out again. She comes to again in Morrigan's arms. Pinch her, she's dreaming. She's only half in at this point, but she hears Mor say, we did everything by the books. Prediction time. Tamlin is about to be so mad when he gets home. Alice better not get punished for any of this. I predict that Feyre and Tamlin are no longer going to get married. You hate to see it, but also I don't want them to anymore. Chapter 13. Let's go. Feyre was in a tizzy. The power in her simmering just below the surface finally unleashed. She wrapped herself in darkness, scared the guards, and worse, Alice. Rhysand came to save the day. He broke the force field around the house, but given the current legalities of Prythian, Mor had to be the one to walk in, knock out the guards, pick up Farah, take her across the border, and get her to safety. Otherwise, Big T could have sent an entire army to go into Night Court and take her back. Nobody wants that. Rhys tells her that she's welcome to stay as long as she wants, or he can take her home right now. Her call. Wow, freedom. What a concept. She decides for the time being she's going to stay in Night Court. I don't blame her. She gets grounded every single week. Rhysand magically poofs up a cup of tea for her, and he watches her until she takes a sip. Huh. Also, we learn that her airbending ability came from Day Court, probably. Neat. Rhysand's gotta go tend to some business, so he tells her to take a couple days and just rest up. But the idea of being alone with her thoughts really stresses her out. Honestly, me too, and they're not even my thoughts. He says she can come, but she has to keep everything she sees entirely to herself for the rest of her life. Otherwise, the people of Night Court will be in danger. No telling Tamlin, no telling Lucien, Alice, her dad, anybody. She really takes a moment to think about this before she's like, done, let's go, I'll get my tunic. The two are headed to Valeris, the city of starlight. $20 says there's no starlight when they get there. They winnow away into the foyer of someone's house, and wouldn't you know it, it's bright out. Farah had assumed that any city left in Prythian must have been turned to rubble after Amarantha's reign. But here she is, standing in the foyer of someone's very lived-in house. You learn something every day. Prediction time. I could be way off on this, but Rhysand watching her take the first sip of tea gives me weird vibes. Like I'm sure there's nothing in the tea, but is there? The description of the foyer leads me to believe that they are in world-traveling hobbit's home, Bilbo Baggins. I predict that while Tamlin may not be able to invade Night Court, there's no way he's letting this one go. I throw away my theory of him and Rhysand becoming friends, because now I want a showdown. I think that Lucien has a big fat I told you so in his pocket waiting for Ianthe and Tamlin. This is his moment and he really deserves it. I really hope I'm not right on this one, but I think that Tamlin's going to fire Alice. Or even worse, he's gonna cut her vacation days. I mean, she'll still have sick days, but come on. Chapter 14, let's go. The home they've arrived in belongs to Rhysand. It's one of two he has in Valeris. No big deal. Other than Farah and Rhysand, no one else is there. Except for Nuala and Caradwyn, her old besties. And no one can enter the house unless Farah or Rhysand allow it. It's a big privilege for you, Farah. Don't mess it up. We learn that no forces have breached the Valeris walls in 5,000 years. Rhys uses magic to make sure that no one can enter that has ill intent in their heart. I need that spell for solicitors. Two male high fae arrive at the door, and through the fog glass, Farah can tell that they have wings. No pizza or breadsticks, just wings. Rhysand is absolutely giddy about their arrival. He acts like he was in a frat with these guys. If anyone could rock 6 polos at once, it's Rhysand. Rhys says that she can either go rest up or meet them right now. Farah decides to go up to her room. Totally get it, I used to do the same thing every time my parents had company over. I was just shy though. The two at the door are Illyrians. One is Cassian, which I assume makes the other Azrael. Farah also hears an older woman join them. They call her Tiny Ancient One. She must have thick skin because that's like such a rude thing to say to an old woman. The coolest lady in all the land shows up outside the door. Morrigan. Play it cool, play it cool. How's my hair? Is it good? Do you think she's gonna like me? These are the members of Rhysand's inner circle, and they keep things real casual. Downright chill, some may say. Kinda puts Tamlin and Lucien's bromance circle to shame. I learned that Nuala and Caradwyn are twins. I don't know if this is the first time it's been brought up, or if I just missed it, but it makes a lot of sense out of the whole speaking in unison thing under the mountain. I have 2 younger twin brothers, they do the exact same thing. Makes dinner very creepy. Farah presses the two about how Valeris was able to stay untouched during Amarantha's reign, and they get real weird about it. They're like, that is not our story to tell, let Rhysand do it. Farah lays in bed and thinks that maybe not going back to Springcourt or Tamlin would be a great punishment for him. Get him, girl. And right after that extremely heavy thought, she sleeps like a baby. Prediction time. I predict that Farah is moving away from Team Tam and bandwagoning onto Team Rhys. I pray to the Cauldron that we don't lose Alice or Lucien in a custody battle. I recant my prediction that Nuala, Caradwyn, and Rhys are all in a throuple. I didn't know they were sisters. Forget it, forget it. I predict that Azrael and Cassian are going to get slapped if they keep talking to women this way. I also think that they've been slapped before. I predict that we're about to see a crazy side of Rhysand that only comes out when he's hanging out with his besties. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Chapter 15, let's go. Valeris is beautiful and bustling, and no one even seems to care that a High Lord is just like walking around. Even High Lords need milk and toilet paper. Wait. Do they? The city is surrounded by mountains. Rhysand points one out and says that that's the middle peak, also the location of his second home. You may have heard of it, the House of Wind, the title of the second part of the book. Oh. Oh. Also, where they're dining tonight. Feyre asks Rhysand how this place stayed safe during the reign of Amarantha. He says pretty much luck, spells, wards, and the ruthless actions of his ancient ancestors. Feyre says that it would have been nice if he would have shared some of that luck with the other parts of Prythian. Rhys explains that the city is unknown by anyone outside the Night Court. She's like, what's so important about this place? And he says, everything. The Funko Pop collection. They do some shopping, ride a subway, get a shawarma, city stuff. They get to the art district. Rhysand keeps pointing things out and saying that they're famous. If the city's a secret, how are they famous? I've never heard of them. Feyre starts to feel resentment towards the artists. She used to like art, and now she's broken, and someone's gotta pay. Rhysand happened to be in her mind when she thought this. He's like, whoa, 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 my people are blameless, why don't you chill out, hothead? When the two dine in the House of the Wind tonight, Feyre is going to meet the Inner Circle. Cassian and Azriel are the Illyrians. Mor is third in command. Amren is over 5,000 years old. She's the second in command and the strongest. Okay, maybe calling her Tiny Ancient One wasn't that unwarranted. Subtle note, but Rhysand is the most powerful High Lord in history. Yeah, the annoying old Hot Topic employee, most powerful guy in history. Feyre accidentally jumps into Rhys's perspective and sees herself. She does not like what she sees. Rhys assumes that because he gave her the power, his mental shield confuses the two and lets her in sometimes. I wonder if that'll come up in the future. Probably nothing. People with this ability are called Daimati, and it's a very rare ability to possess. The House of Wind is winnow-proof, and Feyre realizes that they're going to have to fly there. Feyre thinks that the wind is going to rip her clothes off. She did not wear her flying dress. And I think Rhysand's okay with that, you little creep. Feyre tries to get out of dinner, but Rhysand really wants her to meet the Inner Circle so that she can decide if she wants to work with him to defeat Hybern. If she doesn't, he's going to make sure that she can live in the city and enjoy a fulfilling life, regardless of what he wants. He just cares about her happiness. Game, set, match, Big T, what you got? Feyre decides to just let this happen, and they're off. They go for a nice little ride, very romantic. Rhysand talks about his mom, and then they arrive. Rhysand says they should play a little game. Just say something that's on their mind. He goes pretty light with his. Feyre gets real heavy. Given the state she was in when Tamlin met her, she probably would have loved anyone that cared about her. Tamlin may have known this, but she's not that person anymore. She feels very bad and selfish about saying all of these things. Prediction time. I predict that while Feyre's feelings are valid, divulging all this juicy info to Tamlin's mortal enemy is going to make it very hard to work things out. Which brings me to my next point. I don't think these two are going to work things out. I predict that Amren and Mor have twin Harleys and they go on road trips all the time. Give me that book. Chapter 16. Let's go. Feyre describes Cassian and Azriel as unnaturally good looking. Hachi machi, what a compliment. Cassian is the commander of Rhysand's armies. He's got a more rugged handsomeness to him. I imagine Shrek when he turns into a human. Azriel is Rhysand's spy master. More of a classical handsomeness to him. I was thinking like a Henry Cavill type. He's also a shadow singer. He only sings when no one's around. Just kidding. He can hear and sense things that others cannot. Oh, and he can control shadows. Both men were born out of wedlock, which is a big no-no for the Illyrian. Morrigan shows up and she wants to talk to Feyre before Amren comes and hogs her. Too late, she's here. They do kind of make dinner plans though. I hope they go to Bennigan's. Amren has silver eyes with smoke behind them. She's got a black little bob haircut. I was imagining Edna Mode from The Incredibles, but like younger. She's Rhys's second in command, and like Feyre, she was also born something else but given a new body. Oh, and she doesn't eat food. If she's like me, she lives on a diet of candy. Amren keeps detecting something about Feyre. She keeps like sniffing around. It's gotta be that pocket cheese. Jokes are flying around. Manners are nowhere in sight. Rhys refers to this as family dinner. Way better vibes than awkward dinner at the Spring Court. Cassian and Azriel are wearing gauntlets with jewels in them called siphons. The raw power of destruction is so unkempt that these kind of channel it. Essentially, it's like a Green Lantern ring for Illyrians. We find out that none of this crew is under the mountain. Rhysand spent 50 years pretty much keeping it a secret and mind-melting anyone that tried to come and tell Amarantha. And we get a very long How I Met Your Mother lore drop. Buckle in. Rhysand's mom was Illyrian, and she was about to get her wings clipped, as they do when you reach a certain age, as a female. Rhysand's dad just happened to be winnowing in on business, so he misted the guards, essentially just vaporizing them, and through that blood mist, the two locked eyes and the mating pond began. What a lovely little meet-cute. When Rhys came of age, his mom took him to train with the Illyrians, where he met Azriel and Cassian. Both share separate yet equally horrific childhoods. They don't really get along at first, but they ally up as soon as they realize that they're the most powerful and people are going to be coming at them. Also, Azriel can't fly at this point. We don't know why, but it sounds like it's going to be juicy. 20 years later, when the whole human fae thing kicked off, Rhysand's dad came back to check on him. He did not like what he saw. saw. He realized that they were probably powerful enough to overthrow him, so he sent them to 3 separate battlefields. Rhysand got his own army to take care of. They hated him because he wasn't a thoroughbred. Cassian was made into a grunt on the front lines, and Azriel was made to be his own personal shadow singer. When Rhysand came to power, he created the Inner Circle. He told his dad's old court that if they don't like it, 2 females and 2 Illyrians, they can leave. So they did. He gave them the Hewn City, aka the Court of Nightmares. Such a sweet name for a metal album. And they kinda like it down there. They govern themselves. Valeris is called the Court of Dreams. I'd book a hotel there. Mor spent time in the Court of Nightmares, but she did escape. Cassian offers to teach Farah to fight. She echoes Tamlin's dumb words back to him about, it's gonna look bad for the realm or something. Mor steps in and says, I was almost thrown into a life of docile reputation management. You should go do whatever you want. Farah's like, wow, she could actually be a real genuine friend who cares about me. I smell a Bennigan's dessert menu. Farah agrees to work with him in the fight against Hybern. Perfect, because it sounds like the Hybern King has Durian's eyeball ring and he's trying to reanimate him. They're gonna have to go talk to the Bone Carver, another absolutely insane nickname, and it sounds like it's gonna be bad. Prediction time. I predict that we're not going to find out what Amren is for a very long time because I want to know so bad and Sarah J. Maas knows that. I predict that old Ramblin' Tamlin is back in Springcourt cooking up a plan to save Farah. Since he can't come to the Night Court, I fear that any chapter that doesn't take place there, we run the risk of him popping out. Chapter 17. Let's go. Farah asks Rhysand the cost of keeping Valeris a secret, and here we go. Rhysand spent every second of every day making sure that anyone from Night Court that showed up under the mountain did not remember the Inner Circle or Valeris. He mind-melted his own people. This took so much of his remaining power that he only had a chance to really shield one city. So he chose the one that had already been hidden from history. Yeah, that makes sense. He glammed the place so that anybody walking by it would only see barren rocks. And with almost no remaining power to fight Amarantha, he became her spicy little cabana boy so that she'd stop asking questions. The people of Prythian don't know his sacrifice. Most of them think he's a bit of a turd, but as long as the ones he loves know the truth, that's enough for him. Bravo, Rhysand, I love you. Farah has yet another nightmare. She wakes up to Rhys shaking her. Apparently she's developed fire claws in her sleep, a nice little gift from the Autumn Court, and she runs to the bathroom to throw up. Rhysand holds her hair back. This guy is a keeper. He tells her that he also has nightmares about Under the Mountain with Amarantha, and that he also had to do terrible things to protect the ones he loved. Farah falls asleep next to the cold tub. If you haven't done it, try it. Change your life. She wakes up having been carried and tucked into bed. Rhysand. In an island shrouded in mist in the center of the Western Sea sits the prison. This looks like a big old rock. It's older than Prythian itself, and it houses the worst of the worst. What did Amren do to get here? Was she like pirating DVDs? Farah mentions that earlier that day, Rhysand had been writing a letter to request to visit to Summercourt. He said it was to improve diplomatic relations. I think he's up to something. They can't winnow or fly inside, so they've got to walk under yet another mountain. Farah tries to, but she just absolutely cannot. So Rhysand, understanding this, just poofs her back home and she sleeps the rest of the day away. Much rather be doing that anyways. Prediction time. Rhysand is definitely up to something trying to visit the Summer Court, and I don't think it's volleyball, sunbathing, or barbecues. I smell a scheme. Farah is going to have to get under that mountain because she's got to meet the Bone Carver. I really just hope he doesn't give her any riddles because it sounds like they don't have 3 months to waste. I think that whatever landed Amren on the rock was probably not really her fault. I could be wrong, but she seems more misunderstood than criminally horrific. I predict that Farah is going to master her fire claws, mainly because now that I know they exist, I need to see him in action. Hopefully in a super cool fight against the king. Not Elvis, the Hybern one. Chapter 18, let's go. Farah wakes up in one of the most jarring ways a person could wake up. Amren standing at the foot of her bed. She's here to give Farah a pearl amulet. It's essentially a get out of jail free card, but this isn't a gift. She wants it back. When they arrive on the rock, Rhysand tells Farah not to mention anything compromising. The prisoners trade their gossip for food or air or Pokemon cards. We get some backstory on Azriel and learn that his brothers are the reasons for his terrible hand scars. They burned him. Rhysand says that they were punished, eventually, and we get some info on the Inner Circle. Mor is used as a backup plan if Azriel and Cassian have been defeated. Amren is a political advisor, a walking library, a doer of dirty deeds, and the last line of defense if Mor falls. And if it comes down to it, he'll find a way to break the spell over her, release her from her skin jail, and ask her to end him first before she goes on her rampage. Whoa. They get to a rock that they can't climb up. Rhysand puts his hand on it and it turns into a bone gate. I wonder who lives there. 3 balls of moonlight guide their way through a dark and spooky cavern. Why do they always have to be dark and spooky? Why can't it just be a well-lit open floor plan? Rhysand says that the guards live in the walls. They only come out to eat and keep things in check. They're essentially shadow people created from a spell. He also explains that while the prison is technically in his jurisdiction, it pretty much governs itself. He does decide who ends up there, and when he sentences them, they're there for life. He takes it super seriously. We learn that Amren was sentenced well before written word was in Prythian. She's an ancient being that slipped through a tear in the fabric between realms. This sounds like multiverse speak to me. They arrive at another wall, and Rhys uses his door-making abilities to create, you guessed it, another bone gate. The bone carver is a shapeshifter. He appears to Feyre as a black-haired 8-year-old boy. Literally chose the creepiest thing he could have gone with. A clown would have been better. Rhysand summons a bag from his magic storage closet, and he pulls out a bone and tosses it to the carver. So he's had a magic storage area this entire time, but he's been making Feyre drink creek water all the way here. The bone he gifts them dealt the final strike against the Midgard worm in Feyre's first trial, and he seems pretty jazzed about it. This guy appreciates a good bone. The rules down here are simple. Question for a question, no lying, and whoever has the most bones at the end of the game wins. The carver asks Feyre where she went when she was destroyed, and even though it's scary, I think she really needed to work this out. They go back and forth asking questions, and here's what we learn. It is possible to create a new body for Jurian using the cauldron. Yes, that cauldron. They need to gather the 3 feet that it stands on, and it's missing. The Highburn King likely has the cauldron, and the 3 feet were stored at the temples. I'm assuming at this point we know which temples. There's a book that goes with the cauldron, the Book of Breathing. Half of it is stored with the 6 human queens. The other half is stored in Summer Court. It must be given willingly by the queens, no magic, no trickery, and it has the ability to nullify the power of the cauldron. Only someone that has been made, Feyre, can read from the book. What a coincidence that she knows how to read now. When they leave the cave, Rhysand says that the bone carver appeared to him as Jurian. Rhysand also learned a lot about Feyre down there. Prediction time. I predict that we're going to learn that Rhysand was the one who punished Asriel's turd brothers. I think that the amulet that Amren gave Feyre is a placebo. She's just using it to get her confidence up so that she can get on the Quidditch team. I definitely think that the Highburn King already has the cauldron and at least one of the feet, but until he gets the other 2, he can only make soup and dips. I predict that we will get more of the bone carver in the future. You can't just introduce a star with all that charisma and keep him in a dirty old bone basement for the rest of the book. Chapter 19, let's go. After everybody gets filled in on all this new info, Asriel says he'll contact his resources in the Summer Court. Rhysand's like, no, this is a super big secret, nobody can know. Rhysand considers the temple attacks an act of war. He's ready to go gloves off with the King of Highburn. It's time to infiltrate. We learn that the Book of Breathing can only be found through the powers of the 7 High Lords. Luckily, Feyre's already completed her Pokedex and caught them all. In the event that the High Lord of Summer Court has hidden the book or disguised it, Rhysand doesn't know if she can track things with her powers. So they're going to test it by having her find something that he lost long ago. They're going to meet a character named the Weaver. She's like some kind of ancient, wicked pack rat. Everyone other than Rhysand highly advises against this. She's tough, old, and spooky. Feyre's still pretty emotionally drained from her therapy session with the Bone Carver, so she's just like, I don't care, I'm in. Rhysand makes Feyre the emissary to the Night Court on human relations. She's their best bet to win over the 6 queens and get that book. She's been here for like 3 days and she's already getting promoted. Their plan is to set up a base on neutral ground so that the humans can hear from the Fae for the first time in 500 years. Feyre immediately offers up her dad's manor. Let me see if I understand this. She didn't invite them to the wedding, didn't let them know that she was alive, barely said goodbye to them. Now she's gonna stroll in here with a group of high fae and be like, yo, we're using the house. I'm not having children. But first, they gotta deal with the Weaver. And when they get back from that, they're infiltrating Highburn. Feyre awakens the next day to Rhysand rooting through all of her things, trying to get her ready for the trip. She asks if he knew the parts of this plan well before she arrived. He says pretty much, yeah. He was waiting for her to be ready, and had things not gone so badly, he would have asked her 2 months ago. Also, this is why he taught her to read. Darn it. Rhys kneels down to help her get dressed, and she remembers the time when he made Tamlin kneel down. Rhys explains that the Weaver is blind, and if Feyre stays silent and takes the cheese out of her pocket, she should be okay. I'm sure she's gonna stay silent, and this is gonna be a very quick errand. Feyre's like, so what, am I just your huntress and your thief? And Rhysand's like, no, you're my salvation. What a line! Prediction time. This is not going to be a quick errand. Farah is definitely about to fistfight an old woman. Farah and Reese are getting pretty close. I predict that we're going to have some spice in the next couple chapters. That salvation line, definitely going to speed things along. I predict that convincing her family to help the High Fae is not going to be as easy as Farah thinks. Nest is going to have to get real cool real fast. Just make sure Rhysand's not wearing a shirt. That should help. Chapter 20, let's go. Reese winnows them to an ancient forest on the eastern edge of neutral territory. There's no High Lords here. It's survival of the fittest, and the Weaver is the fittest. So old lady must be doing water aerobics. Amarantha didn't even mess with her, even though Rhysand tried to talk her into it. Ring her doorbell and run away. It'll be so funny. Rhysand says that Cassian really didn't want Feyre to go. He assumes that it was so that he could hook up with her later. Feyre's annoyed by this conversation. She digs her heels in and she's like, fine, send him to my room later then. I can't tell if she's being sarcastic. Rhysand also asks if she liked the sight of him kneeling before her. Must be feeling good because her sense of humor is coming back. She's like, isn't that all males are good for anyways? Touché. Feyre realizes that Rhysand brought up the whole Cassian thing to really get her angry before this mission. He's always up to something. Feyre arrives and it's just an old, nice, inviting cottage. And a trap. Also, Rhysand says he can't go inside or help in any way because the High Lords are prohibited from messing with the Weaver. He ding-dong ditched her way too much. There's just a sign outside. It's a picture of Rhysand with a circle and a line drawn through it. From outside, Feyre hears the Weaver singing a very grim song, but it sounds like she has a lovely singing voice. Feyre goes inside and called it. It's an episode of Hoarders. The Weaver sits at an ancient spinning wheel. Yeah, that tracks. She's got her back to Feyre, but she can tell that she has long, thick onyx hair, snow-white skin, and she looks surprisingly young. She's spinning what looks like wool, but definitely is not wool. Feyre sneaks around, kind of just looking for stuff. Nothing's really calling to her. The Weaver's just singing in the background the entire time. Finally, something calls to her. It's a ring. She sneakily picks it up and puts it in her pocket. And that's it. All in a day's work, mission complete. Just kidding, the Weaver stops singing. Prediction time. Given what I know about the Weaver, inviting old cottage in the woods, old lady hair, weaving stuff, I can safely predict that the wool she's weaving with is hair. We haven't seen what she actually looks like up here yet, and I'm predicting she's got a very bad case of witch face. I predict that Feyre is definitely about to learn she has a new power when she's in here. I hope it's like stretching or shooting webs. I predict that the Weaver and the Bone Carver are gonna get together and be a lovely couple. They're both just so lonely. Chapter 21, let's go. The door is closed, the handle vanished, and the windows are impenetrable. Feyre's not going anywhere. All of a sudden, she snaps out of her too cool to care attitude, and she feels fear. As Feyre describes it, the Weaver has a young, supple body, but a bad case of resting witch face. Caved in nose, black eye holes, wrinkles, stubby little teeth. She's been eating bones for sure. She asks who is in her house and what Feyre is. Then she says, what is like all but unlike all? No spit, riddles. Feyre thinks quick. She grabs a lit candle and throws it at the wall of fabrics, which I think at this point we're assuming are Fae remains? I am. Gross. The Weaver tries to extinguish it, which gives Feyre a chance to slither up the chimney. She notices that it smells like carrion, burnt oil, and burnt hair. Feyre is panicking. The Weaver is now directly underneath her, but all of a sudden she locks in. She remembers that she's a warrior queen with powers, and she's not weak anymore. Time to mess this lady up. Feyre's not about to get defeated by some dumb old chimney. She starts punching it until she gets a brick loose. She looks down and sees the Weaver's face directly under her, so she just nails her. She escapes to the thatched roof. Fun note, it's made of hair. Gross. I'm gonna use all my grosses in this video. The Weaver comes out screaming for Feyre down below. She jumps into a tree and starts going full George of the Jungle. She calls for Rhysand and he just shows up. He's been here the whole time. He winnows them directly above the House of the Wind and then he flies them inside. Amren and Cassian are very surprised to see her, probably because she smells like barbecue and is covered in remains. Feyre throws up, Amren poofs that away real quick, and Rhysand reveals that this was also a test of her emotional control. She passed! Still riding on that warrior princess energy, she asks Cassian if the offer to train is still up, and it is. Later, at the townhouse, she draws herself a bath, and Rhysand asks if she would like to train her other powers right now. She is not feeling it, but he baits her with a little piece of information about Ianthe. She definitely takes that bait. It takes her a couple tries, but she gets there. She's now inside one of Rhysand's memories. Ianthe is trying to seduce Rhysand and get some fae babies with him. Rhysand is not into it. Also, she's being like very desperate. Farah does not like what she's seeing, so she tries to get out of the memory, but Rhysand has trapped her inside. Ianthe keeps trying to work her magic on Rhysand, and he magically stops her hand. He twists it and says it will heal. Never touch me or any male in my court. She says he'll regret this. I don't think he takes it that seriously. He tosses her into the hallway along with her clothes. Memory over. Rhysand explains 2 rules. Rule 1, leave the door open if you're gonna go into someone's mind. They could trap you in there. Rule 2, you might not always like what you see. Prediction time. I knew Ianthe was terrible. She just puts off a certain power-hungry vibe, but I predict that she's back at Spring Court whispering in Tamlin's ear that he needs to attack Night Court, or at least Rhysand. I think that we're going to find out that Ianthe made Lucien do something very similar, and it's something that I probably can't say in a video, and that's why he doesn't like her. I predict that this was a major turning point for Farah. Now that she realizes she has warrior energy and can double down on her focus, she's ready to start kicking some butt. Chapter 22, let's go. And I'm once again joined by my producer, Remington Charles. Prediction time, he's gonna fall asleep. Farah and Morrigan are having a nice little chat about how women are treated in their respective hometowns. Not really great on either side. Farah explains that women in the mortal realm are not really granted a ton of freedom. The richer, the more restricted. Morrigan has her beat though. When a woman comes of age in the Court of Nightmares, she's essentially auctioned off to the highest and most influential bidder. When Morrigan came of age, she became extremely powerful, but instead of fearing her like they should have, they all wanted a piece of that bloodline. I hope they've come to fear her since. We also learn that Rhys and Cassian helped her to escape. I love those guys. Mor won't be joining them in the human realm. She says she can't behave herself. Which begs the question, who would win in a fight between Morrigan or Nesta? I've thought about this a lot, no idea. Farah tells Morrigan that she would love her to meet her sisters at some point. She wants them to hear her story. She thinks they'll realize that there is a special strength in enduring such dark hardships and still remaining warm and kind. Honestly, that might be one of my favorite quotes in the entire book. Easiest thing to do is be kind, and it's free. Before leaving, Morrigan tells Farah that there are good days and bad days. Don't let the bad ones win. Just want to say I called this. Farah meets up with Dim Boys. The plan for today? Fly to the wall and go through a breach in its magic. Farah has a choice of who she wants to fly with, and she chooses Azrael. Rhysand is so jealous. She does note that while he has tremendous strength, he has gentle hands. Someone's getting a good Uber rating. Farah says that while the wall was just invisible when she was a human, now it's invisible and she can feel it. Energy buzz. They arrive to winter in the mortal realm, and Farah is home. No welcome party, nothing. Prediction time. I predict that Morrigan will meet Nesta and Elaine. I think Elaine's gonna love her right off the bat. Nesta's gonna be more of an acquired taste, but once they realize that they're both strong, independent women who don't need a man, they're gonna get along famously. I think we're definitely going to get the rest of the story about Morrigan's time in the Court of Nightmares, and I think it's gonna make me hate that place even more than I already do. I think that Farah's dad is really gonna get along with Rhysand and Cassian, right after he gets over the whole hatred of the Fae thing. And this one's crazy, but I predict that since we're now out of the Night Court, Tamlin could just pop out at any moment. He's not gonna be at their house, right? Chapter 23, let's go. Farah and the boys arrive at her dad's house. The fellas glam themselves up so they can't be seen, and Farah covers her ears. Farah wants to speak to her family alone, but Mrs. Laurent, the housekeeper, is making that pretty difficult. She definitely suspects that something is up with Farah, and she almost doesn't let her inside. But then Elaine comes to save the day. She's really happy to see Farah, and she tells Mrs. Laurent to go make some tea. That's not an insult, but I will be using that as one from now on. Yeah, why don't you go make some tea, buddy? Ooh, did it get cold in here? No, that's just Nesta's icy gaze at Farah from atop the staircase. We learn that Dad's out until the summertime. He's taking care of some business in Neva, and he's also attending a summit on the impending threat from the High Fae. Oh, that doesn't look good. Don't lie, he went to the Whittling Convention. Since he won't be back until summer, they're gonna throw a house rager. They go to the living room. Farah sits on one side, her sister's on the other. She's got some explaining to do because they thought she was a goner. Farah says, I was. Then she tells them everything that happened. I mean everything. Farah removes her hood, and Nesta stands between her and Elaine. I love her. I think they realize that she's not a threat, and Farah explains what she needs of them and the house. Nesta is immediately like, find somewhere else. She says it twice. She says that defending the Fae would cost them everything. Hey, Nesta, didn't you say you were leaving in the last book? Just kidding, I want her around. She's the best. Aside from just ruining their reputation, it's also gonna ruin Elaine's wedding. Oh yeah, Elaine's engaged. Tell me all about him, girl. Well, his dad is Lord Nolan. He's a Fae hunter, and he's actually on a crusade to defeat them all. Oh, and he built a giant wall around his house to keep them all out. Nope, tell me less, tell me less. Elaine brings up a good point. If there is a threat coming from the Fae, it's gonna ruin the wedding anyways, so they should just help Farah. She convinces Nesta to do it, and she also brings up how Farah did a ton for the family back in the day. That does the trick. Nesta agrees, but this has to be kept on the lowest of lows. Anytime Farah arrives, they're gonna send the help away, and they'll start tomorrow. Farah's like, we're starting today. So Elaine goes off to send the help away. With Elaine gone, Farah asks Nesta what she thinks of her new man. She says the guy is cool, but his dad, Lord Nolan, kind of a dirtbag. But like, he's pretty old, so not gonna have to deal with this forever. Nesta seems pretty shocked at the idea that Farah did all of this for Tamlin, and things still went wings up. Farah says that while Lord Nolan built a wall to keep the Fae out, Tamlin built one to keep her in. And after explaining all this, Farah kinda needs to take a minute and collect herself, so she asks Nesta if she wants to meet the boys. Prediction time. I think Lord Nolan's gonna be a real problem at some point. Not in the sense that he's physically a threat, more so just that he seems to have Karen energy, and I don't want him to set this whole plan off the rails. I predict that their dad is having a blast in Neva, and if it's anything like our Nevada, he's probably already lost their fortune again. Also, I think there's a possibility that he's about to come back from a high face summit on how they're terrible to like 20 of them in his house, and it's gonna be hilarious. I predict that while Nesta might not like the Fae right now, she hasn't seen them. Opposites attract, and I'm calling it. She's gonna be a Cassian girl. She better keep her hands off Rhysand. Mrs. Laurent, while perceptive, can get lost. I don't like her. Alice could teach her a few things about how to be over it and still maintain hospitality. Chapter 24, let's go. The Fae boys enter the house and they're immediately shocked at how bougie the place is. Like, dang, Farah, we didn't know you rolled like this. But Nesta and Elaine are waiting in the other room and it's time for a meet and greet. The sisters are very polite and on their best behavior. Just kidding. Nesta steps in front of Elaine and gets into defense stance. Off to a great start. Also, we learned that Farah's last name is Archeron. Archeron? Did I miss something, or is this the first time they brought this up? Also, her last name is Archeron. How fortuitous that she's great with a bow. Rhysand introduces himself and bows, and Nesta just says dinner's getting cold, let's go. The boys can all feel how awkward this is. Honestly, this has a chance to rival a spring court dinner. Elaine's white-knuckling her cutlery in defense, Cassian can't get his wings in the chair, and nobody wants to sit by Nesta. This is a real spit show. Nesta notices that Farah's not eating her human food. She's like, what, are you better than us? Rhys tries to defend Farah, but he's immediately introduced to Nesta's ice powers. Cassian thinks he can take her and is also frosted pretty much immediately. Farah and Nesta go back and forth for a minute until they ultimately decide they're not going to get anywhere unless they pretty much start over. Elaine tries to keep the peace by saying that humans are brought up in a world of fear with nothing but pretty much rumors about the Fae. Heck, even our neighbor Claire Better was taken by one a couple months ago. Hey, pretty quiet over there, Rhysand. This dinner is a garbage fire. After some brief questioning from Nesta and Elaine to the boys, can you really fly? If you guys aren't high Fae, what are you? What does that make Farah? Real light stuff. They finally get down to business. Nesta instructs them to write their letter to the queens by tonight, and she and Elaine will deliver it tomorrow. Also, if the queens show up, expect a lot more prejudice than they got tonight. I mean, thanks for the heads up, I guess. Rhys takes one more shot at the girls. He's like, I'd prefer to sleep safely in this house since your betrothed gave you an iron engagement ring. Iron engagement ring? Way to cheap out. Farah just says, sorry about him, he's old and cranky and it's past his bedtime. That's a high lord, dude. Nesta remains unamused, and she ends the dinner then and there. Well, that went well. The boys and Farah stay up until midnight doing their letter writing group project. Hey, how many Fae does it take to write a letter to 6 queens? Apparently 4. Asriel and Cassian share a room, which means Rhys and Farah get to have a slumber party. There's only one bed in their room, and I think I know where this is going. Rhysand poofs up another bed. Rhysand says that it's gonna take a minute for him to warm up to Farah's sisters, and she reminds him that his friends also have some drama, hinting that Asriel likes Morrigan? Rhys is like, why don't you keep that to yourself? Rhysand tells Farah that all the members of his inner circle receive a wage, including her. If she signs up during open enrollment, she can get health and dental. Rhysand also asks Farah her birthday. I'm assuming this is for onboarding purposes so that they can throw her a pizza party in the office. She tells him that it's during the winter solstice, and he seems very surprised by this. Before bed, they both speculate who would win in a battle between Nesta and Cassian. They both land on Nesta. Prediction time. Despite Cassian and Nesta definitely hating each other, I think this reinforces my theory that they're totally right for each other. Cassian sees her as a worthy opponent, and I think this might just be how Nesta flirts. Mrs. Laurent specifying that she's going to keep this a secret leads me to believe that she's already alerted the newspaper, the town crier, and has rented a billboard. I don't trust her. I think Farah's birthday being on the winter solstice definitely means something. Like, we're gonna find out there's a prophecy to go along with this info. Woman born on the longest day of the year must overcome her fear and develop a pointed ear. Something like that. I predict that there's no way Elaine is going to marry this dude. Especially after meeting the Fae Boys. Kind of the way that Farah can't go back to human food. Yeah, now that she's seen him, it's all over. Chapter 25, let's go! Farah and Rhysand are in a snowy forest, secluded so that she can train her powers without the risk of injuring an innocent bystander or being found out. Very considerate of them. Rhys mentions that someday he'd like to take Farah to the Illyrian Steppes. He says it's much warmer and much more interesting than this lame old mortal forest. There's not even any dangerous creatures out here. Farah says she has no idea where that is because Rhysand always hid the Night Court map from her. So he poofs one up, and boy does she take a look at it. Okay, Farah, now you got all this information. Get back to Tamlin and spill the beans. Just kidding. I'm Team Rhys now. Rhysand conjures up a candle, and he tells her to light it, douse it, and then dry it off. That's her only assignment for the entire day. Must be pretty easy, right? Wrong. Farah suggests training her physical shielding. Rhysand says no. He wants her to train the other facets of her power. Shape-shifting, perhaps? Farah's not into shape-shifting. For the same reason she hasn't asked if Azriel or Cassian were involved in taking out Tamlin's family. She just doesn't want to know. She wants to train alone, so she sends Rhysand away. He's like, fine, just shout down the bond if you need me. Or you can put the tattoo on a place I can't say in a video, if you need me immediately. Farah goes to throw the candle at him for that one, but he's too quick and he winnows away. And as soon as she's alone, she laughs at that joke. That was a good joke. A full hour goes by and Farah can't even get a little spark out of her finger. So she goes into her magic lunchbox that Rhys packed her. Inside, there's a bunch of warm food and a note that says, I'm bored. Anything happen yet? And it's from Rhysand. They go back and forth on these magical notes for a moment, and Rhysand tells Farah that life is better when she's around. It is getting hot in here. Farah calls him a shameless flirt. Do I hear wedding bells? Again. Right as Farah starts to get those butterflies in her tummy, somebody comes up from behind, covers her mouth, and grabs her. Prediction time. I predict and hope that it was either Tamlin or Lucien that grabbed Farah. They probably think that she's in trouble, and maybe they just wanted to get her alone. That being said, she's literally Prythian's most wanted when it comes to their enemies. Could have been anybody. If she is in danger, I predict it's either the ACOTAR or Mrs. Laurent. Could it be Pig Guy, the emissary to the Highburn King? I predict that if Farah did just get captured, this is going to be the push she needed to finally get those powers out. Once again, if she could just wrap this person up in some webs, maybe shoot some eye lasers at him, I'd be happy for the rest of the book. Now that Farah and Rhysand are just like casually flirting, I predict that we've got to be real close to a spice chapter with these two. Unless it was Tamlin that just captured her, then I take it all back. Sorry, Big T. I think that Cassian, Azriel, Rhysand, Nesta, and Elaine are all having probably a very uncomfortable brunch right now. Nesta being all mean and Elaine just asking wildly out-of-pocket questions. So whose wings are bigger? Chapter 26. Let's go. The ACOTAR has Farah in his bony grip, but suddenly they're engulfed in nighttime. The boys are back in town. I knew she was never in danger. The ACOTAR screams like a little baby. Rhysand shadows him to a tree and then uses 2 spears made of nighttime to pin his wings. Okay, new desire unlocked. I really want Farah to master those shadow spears, because that power is metal. Rhysand says that if the ACOTAR answers all of his questions, he can slither back to his boss. The ACOTAR responds about how you'd think he would. He calls him a name that insinuates a promiscuous nature. Rhysand winds up to cause him some pain. I don't think he even does it. And the ACOTAR cracks like a little wimp. He spills the beans hard. Here's what we learned from that big mouth. The Highburn King is currently in Highburn. The ACOTAR was sent to collect Farah, obviously. Endless armies are on their way. They'll be here soon, but first they gotta stop at In-N-Out. They don't have one by them and while they're in town. And Highburn has allies on every territory in Prythian. Cowards. Rhysand tells old Addie that if he ever tries to take Farah again, he's gonna destroy first and ask questions later. Azriel shows up, grabs the ACOTAR, and winnows winnows away. Rhysand then reveals that this was the plan the entire time. Feyre was being used as bait to see who would come out of the woodworks the second she was alone. The ACOTAR is so dumb, he totally fell for it. Feyre asks what will happen to him, and Rhysand says that he will be sent back as a message. That if they want Feyre, they're gonna have to try harder. That seems more like a taunt, but okay. Rhys says that once again, Feyre forgot how strong she is and stopped fighting. Feyre is frustrated with herself, but she's real mad at Rhysand for the whole bait thing. She's going after him. She attacks him once, and he steps out of the way. Twice, he steps out of the way again. 3 times, he just winnows a couple feet out of reach. It's gotta be very frustrating. She keeps trying though, and the next time she slashes at him, talons come out? Okay. I mean, she still misses him. Finally though, she locks in. She's able to see him for a few seconds as he's vanishing, which allows her to anticipate his next move. Feyre winnows? Right in front of Rhysand, and this time she tackles him into the snow. I imagine this is the same feeling as getting wrecked over and over in Mortal Kombat, but then finally understanding the combos. Prediction time. I predict that the ACOTAR is about to go back to Highburn and realize that the whole snitches get stitches rule is universal across all space and time. Dude cracked so fast, it's embarrassing. I predict the following people are allies to Highburn. Lucian's dad and at least 2 of his brothers, the entire Court of Nightmares, Ianthe, Mrs. Laurent, and Thomas Mandry and his cronies. I think that Feyre's about to find out she's got a full-on beast mode. Sounds like it's gonna be another bird thing, which I think means at some point she's gonna be able to fly. I also think that between the bird talons and the fire claws, getting a manicure is gonna be very difficult for her. And I think that any old day now we're gonna get an update on Big T. I don't think he's doing well. I feel like he's back at Spring Court, just full-on breakup beard writing sad poems. Chapter 27, let's go. Feyre's got Rhysand pinned down with her brand new talons. She's not happy. Feyre tells Rhysand that the whole using her as bait thing is over, and if he does it again, she's leaving. She's done. Heading for the hills. Leaving without giving 2 weeks. She does, however, take a moment to notice that he's very large and very warm, and maybe they're a little too close to each other right now. Rhys tells her to try and winnow again. It's over. She's done today. She's like, take me back. Rhysand's like, okay. So he stands up and offers his hand. Feyre's like, why does the Highburn King want me? If I had to guess, it's probably something to do with the whole having the powers of the 7 High Lords thing, or the whole Amarantha thing, or the whole turning into a fae thing, but probably just because she's the only one that can actually stop his diabolical plan. And Rhysand says he doesn't know, but he's gonna find out. You know, I think they can figure it out without directly asking him. Rhysand says, for now, let's just go back, eat breakfast, and then I'll take you home. To which Feyre replies, Valeris is not my home. That was devastating. Before Rhysand takes them both away, Feyre does note that he looked pretty sad about that one. Healing powers or not, that hurts. Prediction time. I think Feyre's gonna be upset with Rhysand for a little while, but it's only gonna take a couple of quippy jokes and that little half smile to get her back on Team Rhys. I mean, look at him. I predict that there's probably a few reasons the Highburn King wants Feyre. The Amarantha incident definitely put her on his radar. The turning into a High Fae absolutely made her a threat. But if I had to guess, I'd say that it's probably her being the only one that can read from the Book of Breathing and end his plan. If I had to guess. I predict that Feyre and the Fae Boys, it's a sick name for a folk band, will head home. But I think and hope that we're gonna get one more real awkward breakfast with Nesta and Elaine. I just really want Nesta to like these guys, and Feyre, and her dad. Anyone really. Chapter 28, let's go. The Fae Boys, minus Azriel, glam themselves up and accompany Nesta and Elaine into town. They're dropping off a letter to the queens. When they return, it's a quick goodbye because they gotta get back home and find out what's going on with the ACOTAR. Rhysand leaves Feyre in Valeris. He comes back less than an hour later, completely unharmed, got a little bit of ACOTAR blood on his shoe though, and he says he got all the information out of him that he needed. Feyre is expecting to get shut out Tamlin style, but Rhysand says if she wants to know what happened, it's up to her. It was pretty nasty though. Doesn't matter, she's like, give me the dirt. Rhysand once again invites her into his memories. The ACOTAR did not track Feyre. The Highburn King knew her location. An army invaded from the north, and they went to get her. Side note, sounds like Rhysand broke Azriel's brother's legs. They got better. The ACOTAR says, good luck keeping Feyre, Rhysand. Everybody knows that you took her from Big T, but if you ally up with the Highburn King, he might help you keep her. Let me think about that. No. We find out that Azriel's task for the last few days has been to monitor the Spring Court situation. Tamlin's doubled down on fortifying his borders, and all of Azriel's connections on the inside have gone dark. What is he up to over there? Rhysand slips into the ACOTAR's mind, completely undetected. Now we're in a memory inside a memory. He sees an army completely built, Ships on the Highburn shore just awaiting orders. The Highburn king just kind of chilling in a crumbled castle watching Gossip Girl. But he doesn't see Jurian, the cauldron, or any mention of the Book of Breathing. Well, that's a good sign. Rhysand wants to take vengeance on the ACOTAR for all the things he did under the mountain, but he realizes that sending a message is much more important. So he tells Azriel to break his legs, shred his wings, and leave him on the Highburn shore. As he goes to leave, he sees Azriel take out his blade, the Truth Teller, and just hears a bunch of screaming as he's walking away. Memory over. Rhysand apologizes to Feyre for the whole using her as bait thing from earlier, and she's just like, I gotta go write a letter. The letter is to Tamlin. Pretty much just says, left on my own, cared for and safe, grateful for all you've done. I'm not coming back, please don't look for me. Ooh, somebody's trashing that manor tonight. After another emotionally draining day, Feyre wants to rage, so her and the inner circle are about to paint the town red. Before they leave, Amren comes to Feyre's room. Feyre tries to return the amulet to her. Amren says, keep it, there was never any magic in there anyways. Called it. Feyre's like, what? And Amren just says, you're welcome. Prediction time. I think the inner circle besties are about to have a grand old time on the town until they don't. Not sure what might happen to him, I just have a gut feeling like something's going to. This would be the perfect time for a big old twist. I believe that Azriel's real superpower is knowing how to dance. Electric slide, the hustle, stanky leg, he knows them all. I think that leaving the ACOTAR on the Highburn shore will definitely send a message, but it's also going to accelerate and escalate the entire threat coming their way. Maybe they didn't like the ACOTAR that much. I think that the Highburn king is never going to figure out who the Gossip Girl is, unless he's already watched all of you and kind of already thinks Penn Badgley is a creep. Badgley or Bagley? Chapter 29, let's go! The inner circle walks through town and everyone's just treating them like they're normies. Respected, but still normies. They go to a restaurant where the owner kisses each of them on the cheek, except Amren. She gets a full-on bow. Everyone's afraid of her, huh? Amren's not eating, but they do bring her a cup of dark liquid, blood. And Feyre thinks she knows what it is. It's blood. After dinner, Morrigan wants to go dancing. Azriel and Cassian are immediately in. Play it cool, boys. You're a little too eager. Also, totally called it that Azriel's gonna dance. He's a shadow spy. He's gotta be good on his feet. Amren's in the back of the restaurant getting a to-go mug. It's blood. Rhys tells Feyre that she drinks blood. Yeah, I got that. Rhys and Feyre decide to go for a walk, and he takes her to his favorite view in the entire city. I bet he takes all of his formerly mortal saviors of the realm here. Feyre asks if buying Amren jewelry was to keep on her good side or because they're together. Not gonna lie, I'm still envisioning her as Edna Mode, so this was pretty shocking when I read it. Rhysand laughs and said that when he was foolish and young, he invited her into his bed once, and she laughed so hard she lost her voice. Feyre asks Rhysand if he's ever been married. He says no. There's been plenty of ladies, but none that wanted to be a High Lord's wife. What with all the being hunted? Rhysand says that the only part of Night Court that is common knowledge is the Court of Nightmares. That's why everybody thinks it stinks so bad, but it's also why nobody attacks them. Feyre asks what's up with Azriel and Morrigan, and Rhysand says that's between Cassian, Azriel, and Morrigan. What does Cassian have to do with this? Our girl's getting a little sleepy and she almost asks Rhysand to fly her home, but then she hears the song. That same song that she heard the night in her cell under the mountain. You know, the one that gave her all the visions? She realizes that Rhysand was the one that sent that song to her. She was at her breaking point, and this was an attempt to pull her back. She realizes also that the visions she had were of Night Court. He didn't have anything to do with that. Feyre thanks him for everything, and they have a lovely little moment. And then he ruins it by bringing up their fight from earlier. Later, Feyre's in bed reading her book. Look at her go! All of a sudden, a piece of paper falls out, and this is another one of those magical texting conversations. Only this one's dirty. Rhys invites Feyre to his bedroom to tend to his wounds. She says he can lick his wounds himself. He's like, why don't you come in here and lick them for me? It gets a little dirtier. Feyre seems like she honestly considers doing it, but then she crumbles the note up and throws it in the fire. Hachi machi, that was a close one. Prediction time. So Rhysand and Feyre are like actually dating right now. I'd say this was like their second. There's a third one on the horizon, and I predict that you know what that means. It's time to meet Feyre's dad. I predict that once this whole Highburn mess is over, Feyre's gonna get real into the nightclub scene in Valeris, spending all her money on glow sticks, staying out all night, sleeping all day. She's gonna get real into EDM. I feel like she would love Elenium. She might be an Apache girl. Knowing now that Amren drinks blood, I predict that we're going to find out that she's a vampire. But in just a few years, she's going to move to Forks, Washington and enroll in high school. Chapter 30. Let's go. Asriel's back from the mortal realm by lunch. He's pretty frustrated because he couldn't get past that pesky magic barrier the queens put up. As he tried ringing the doorbell, Asriel starts sword training with Rhysand, shirtless, and Farah notices that they have full-body versions of her tattoo. Cassian sees Farah noticing the tattoos, and he's like, yeah, those are Illyrian rites of passage. Once you complete your training, you get one. Farah's like, oh, the tattoos, yes, I was looking at the tattoos. The image of these two sweaty Fae men fighting together briefly inspires Farah to paint it. What a testament to their rockin' bods. Cassian and Farah take a water break, and he's like, hey, do you want to talk about the whole writing a letter to Tamlin thing? This strikes a nerve. Farah claps back, and she's like, yeah, when you want to talk about the whole Morrigan thing. Cassian just laughs, and he's like, old news. Farah just lives outside the loop. Farah asks if Rhysand was the one that spilled the beans on the whole letter thing to him, but no, it was actually Asriel. Cassian realizes that he hit a nerve with her, so he apologizes. He says that this was just his dumb way of asking if she wanted to talk about it. He's just a silly, ancient Fae boy. Farah's just in her head about Tamlin now. She's analyzing it hard. He did fight for me, but I did fight way harder for him. Ultimately, she decides he wasn't bad, he was just wrong. Farah doesn't realize how actually angry she got, because halfway through punching these pads, her fire claws come out and burn straight through him. Cassian was on the other side, just fully ready to take that hit too. That's a man. For the first time, Farah says out loud what she did to those innocents under the mountain. She sobs, and then she says it should have been her. She's crying a lot, so I think Cassian just kind of walks away, and right in the middle of it, somebody touches her chin, and it's Rhysand. He wraps his wings around them for privacy. Then, he comforts her by saying she'll feel this for the rest of her life. Okay, you're making things worse. She can either learn to live with it, or let it ruin her. Rhysand tries to get her to use the darkness inside her to conjure up some nighttime, but she has so much in there she really can't pick a lane. He explains that not all darkness is bad, like the kind you need to go to sleep. He shrouds the entire arena in night and conjures up some pretty little stars. Cassian and Asriel are just like, ooh, training exercise, let's go. For the first time in a long time, Farah can breathe easily in the dark. And then Rhys takes it all away and says, go take a bath, Stinky. Prediction time. Rhysand just loves creating beautiful moments and then immediately sticking his foot in his mouth and ruining them, which I relate to very hard. I predict that given his stoic and sarcastic nature, his sense of humor being around or not around is going to be really his only indication of how he actually feels for the rest of the series. I think that Farah will learn to fight, kind of. I predict that mastering her powers will be a lot easier for her than mastering an uppercut. Farah really worked some things out on the mat today, and I predict that she's finally ready to have that much overdue one-on-one combo with Tamlin. He could be anywhere. I'm just waiting for him to pop out. I predict that Cassian and Asriel are well on their way to being permanent residents in the friend zone when it comes to Morrigan. She just doesn't seem that into him, and I think they're trying way too hard. Chapter 31. Let's go. Amren's on the sidelines spectating as these two just go at it. And she's talking mad spit. Still no word from Summercourt, Nesta or Elaine, or the Queens. Nothing? Really? Morrigan shows up, and Cassian asks where she went off to the other night. Dude, overbearing? Absolutely not the move right now. She's a free bird. You can't cage her. She gets real defensive and says it's none of his business. Told you. They went to Rita's the other night, and apparently all the ladies wanted a piece of Rhys. A Rhys's pieces, if you will. Thank you. Thank you. Rhysand politely declined them all, which definitely just made them want him more. Farah realized that Amarantha was Rhysand's last. She wonders if he even wants someone else right now. Girl, he asked you to lick him the other day. I think you're in the clear. Cassian and Amren get a little too much FaceTime and they almost go to blows. But Rhysand shows up with some news. He's always got something for the group. The Summer Court finally invited them over. Rhys, Farah, and Amren leave tomorrow. Cassian wants to know why Amren can go, but he can't. And it sounds like aside from her being generally intimidating, which they'll need, Cassian destroyed a building last time and got a lifetime ban. I feel like he didn't need to ask why he wasn't allowed to go. Rhysand sells Amren on the idea by telling him that they've got a lot of real great loot over there and she can rob them. That works. Apparently she's big into loot. There is some speculation that this might be an ambush. Rhysand did save the High Lord of Summercourt's life, so probably not, but they're gonna bring Amren just to be safe. Moore brings up a very good point. Letting Farah live in Night Court is one thing, Introducing her as a member of their court, it's gonna raise some eyebrows. Rhysand doesn't care. He literally walks away from the conversation. Farah follows. She catches up with Rhysand and she's like, is this gonna be a trap again? He's like, oh, I thought you forgave me for this, but sure, let's talk about it. No, it won't be. The two do some more light flirting, and Farah admits to herself that it's fun and easy with him. That's a big moment for her. Spice is coming soon. She tells Rhysand that he's been into her since Kalanme, and he says he can't wait to see that sharp tongue of hers in action at the summer court. And then he boops her on the nose and he vanishes. Prediction time. I think that things won't go according to plan once they get to summer court. Go in, get the book, shake some babies, kiss some hands. Sounds pretty easy, right? No, I think it's gonna go off the rails and they're gonna get caught thieving. I think we're gonna get some more info on Cassian's last trip to the summer court. Not because I think it's necessarily important, but more because I just need to know how he destroyed a building. It's all I can think about. I think that the other night when Morrigan left Rita's, she went to meet up with some nighttime companionship that wasn't Cassian or Asriel. Sorry boys, she's just not that into you. I predict that right now Nesta and Elaine are in danger in the human realm. I don't know why I feel that way. We haven't heard anything from them and that's starting to worry me. Not to point fingers, but where were you on the night of the 5th, Mrs. Laurent? Chapter 32. Let's go. The plan is simple. Winnow directly there, then they just stay there and wait until Farah can find the Book of Breathing. And that's it. Pretty cut and dry. They're gonna pretend that Farah is Rhysand's new lapdog, but in her words, she's more of a bloodhound. Right, because she's got big old floppy ears now. They arrive in Adriata, the castle city of the summer court, and it sounds a lot like the first season of White Lotus, just a tropical sea city. They're greeted by Tarkin, High Lord of the Summer Court. I know him, that's the guy from under the mountain that Rhysand saved. He seems really nice, which makes Rhys and Amren's attitude towards him very uncomfortable. They're being so rude. Amren's like, well, at least you're handsome. The other guy was a total eyesore. Condolences, though. It was his cousin. Rhysand introduces him to Farah, and right off the bat, he is just glaring at her chest. So much so that Rhys calls him out for it. This first impression has gone off the rails. Farah follows their lead, though, and she just plays it super uninterested and a little bit rude. We meet Cressida. Cressida? She's the princess of Summer Court, and neither her nor Tarkin are wearing wedding rings. Things seem pretty loose here. We also meet Varian, the Prince of Ariata, and commander of the Royal Guard. He has got an eye on Amren. Farah notes that she hasn't seen any lesser face since they've been there. Huh. Maybe it's Staff Appreciation Day and they're all having a pizza party in the break room? 1 hour max, then back to work. While speaking to Tarkin, Farah feels that familiar tug of her inner power recognizing its origin in him. She wonders if Tarkin notices, if he recognizes it as the remainder of his power, or he just thinks Farah's super hot. Can it be both? Also, for this entire encounter, Tarkin's being like a super creep. Hard glares only, no eye contact. Farah realizes that she can use this to her advantage, and she's gonna get pretty close to him. Tarkin asks Farah how she fits into the night court. This is embarrassing. I knew he should have gotten them all business cards. Rhysand explains the threat of Highburn. Tarkin's about to say he's not gonna fight with them, but Rhysand jumps in and he's like, don't worry, I wasn't gonna ask you, bud. Cressida brings up some light dinner convo. She's like, hey, just so you know, if you're here against Tamlin's will, we kinda gotta bring you back to him. Otherwise, we're gonna face some consequences. Farah's like, I'm here on my own free will, and Tamlin's totally cool with that. Also, Nunya. And at this point, she's pretty cool with robbing them. Varian jumps in to back up his sister, and Tarkin's like, why don't you guys chill out? These are our guests. Not to mention they saved the F out of us under the mountain. He's like, guys, tonight I'm throwing you a big old bash on my pleasure barge. Bring your slipperiest bathing suit. Also, please excuse Cressida. We've sacrificed a lot. Rhysand's like, yeah, we all have sacrificed a lot. Farah the most. Just so you know, if anyone tries to bring her back to Tamlin or bring Tamlin here, they're gonna forfeit their life. Tarkin's like, buddy, I'm grateful, but that only goes so far. Don't threaten me in my own house. And Rhysand says that wasn't a threat, that was a promise. Awkward. Prediction time. I think that Tarkin is going to actually be a pretty cool dude, despite the whole creepy eye contact thing. That just might be the recognizing the inner power. I think that while Amren is feared here and Varian is pretty off-putting, these two are developing a little chemistry. I'm aware that most of my predictions involve random characters getting together. I don't care. There will be more. I predict that Cressida is going to invite Tamlin over for dinner. She seems like a nosy Nelly, which I hate. Hey, did Farah ask you why you weren't wearing a wedding ring? No, she didn't. It's called discretion. Give it a try, honey. Chapter 33. Let's go. Farah's chilling in the suite admiring the adjoining room situation when Rhysand enters. He says the only problem with this steal the book plan is that he really likes Tarkin and his crew. Maybe not Varian. He tells Farah that she can do whatever she must to get that book. Just don't go making enemies. Is he serious? He's been rude since the first minute they got here. He's telling her not to make enemies? Rhysand asks Farah if she appreciates Tarkin's stone cold and super obvious glare. Kinda. He tells her that she must do anything to secure this book. Anything? Anything. He's so jealous about this. He then tells Feyre to light the candle next to them. She tries, but she douses it with water. She says she's really felt a connection to the water since they got here. She starts playing with the water on the floor and she conjures up some cute little beads. They start floating all around him. Rhysand says, "Don't show this to Tarkin when you're in his bedroom." And with that quippy little remark, she throws all the water in his face. She asks if he really thinks Tamlin would go to war over her. He's like, "Dude's kinda crazy, I wouldn't put it past him." She says if it came down to it, she would return to Springcourt unhappily to prevent a fight. And even though Tamlin's a little crazy and pretty wrong, he still loves her. Rhys just isn't accepting that. He's like, he knew that you were a jewel, so he locked you away for himself. He might still love you, but love can be a poison. Dude totally writes poetry when no one's around, cause that was beautiful. And with that, it's time for a night out on the pleasure barge. That's a disgusting name for a boat. Feyre stands on the edge of the boat, staring into the city, projecting anything that will make the book call to her. She got nothing. Tarkin walks up and starts chatting with Feyre. She asks him how he managed to keep all of their treasures out of Amarantha's hands. He said his predecessor and cousin, Nostress, Amarantha, under the mountain, gave him a heads up, so he was able to sneak everything out in the middle of the night. Feyre's like, "Oh, I didn't realize the Summer Court was so into treasure." How? How did you not know? This place looks exactly like Tortuga from Pirates of the Caribbean. How did you not know they like treasure? I'm pretty sure Varian is a pirate. Tarkin says his ancestors were like totally obsessed with treasure, and to honor tradition, they are too. Feyre says her dad was a big treasure guy. She'd love to see his trove and compare. Yeah, I bet you'd like to see his trove. Rhysand's preoccupied with Cressida. They're getting a little flirty over there. Tarkin says that he'd love to show her the trove. They can go after lunch tomorrow. Lunch and a trove tour? That sounds like a date to me. Tarkin asks Feyre a little bit about the mortal realm. She says it's pretty much entirely ruled by money. The class system is all out of whack, which gets him talking about his ambitions for their class system. He doesn't like the whole high fae, lesser fae thing, and he'd like to level the playing field. At this point, Tarkin's being pretty cool, so Feyre's like, maybe I could just ask him for the book. And while she's thinking this, he's like, "What's that look mean?" She's gotta think of something quick. She's like, "I was just thinking that it would be easy to love you, and easier to be your friend." He objects to neither. Feyre looks over to see Rhys and Cressida getting a little close and kinda handsy. And for a minute, she feels real unhappiness. She's like, "I gotta get up and get some air. Even though I'm on an open boat, I need some air." When the boat docks, she goes back to shore and sees everyone except for Rhys and Cressida. Prediction time. I predict that Tarkin definitely knows about the power that Feyre has inside. He seems cool though. I think either he just doesn't care or he doesn't want to blow his shot with her. I think this plan is going to get botched pretty quickly. Feyre has clearly fallen for the Tarkin charm, and I think she might actually just tell him the plan. I predict they're going to find out where the Book of Breathing is, only to learn that it's been stolen by world-renowned pirate Captain Jack Sparrow, and he uses it as a coaster on the Pearl. I predict that given Rhys and Tarkin's attitude towards the high fae, lesser fae situation, eventually they're going to start an alliance. Despite the whole treachery at foot currently, Rhysand just let people into the Night Court. You didn't like Tamlin for locking away Feyre, but your situation is pretty much exactly like that, but with Valeris. Mr. Rhysand, tear down your wall. Chapter 34. Let's go! Feyre is very concerned about hearing Rhysand and Cressida through the walls. Luckily for her, nothing happens except for one tiny little nightmare. She says she doesn't care who Rhysand gets with. Okay. But she liked that he seemed as lonely as she did. That's a healthy way to think about the situation. Feyre meets Tarkin in the dining hall, and they're off for a treasure trove tour. Treasure trove. And on the way out, she gives Rhysand the coldest of shoulders. They're about to head out, and Rhysand sends a little warning through the bond. With it, Feyre feels the same emotion she felt last night. Unhappiness. Did that come from her or him last night? Deep beneath the castle lies the treasure trove. The door only opens by Tarkin's touch, and possibly Feyre's. Feyre asks Tarkin what the most valuable thing in this room is. Easy now. He's like, "Why, you thinking of thieving?" Then he says, "I'm looking at the most valuable thing in this room." Watch out, Rhys. You got another silver-tongued High Lord down here showing your emissary all of his fancy jewels. Also, Tarkin has no idea what the most valuable thing down here is. He's like, "I just started working here. I honestly did not read the manual." Feyre is gazing upon a black diamond necklace. She's getting her gaze all over it. Tarkin's like, "Why don't you just keep that? It's a gift for everything you did under the mountain." She's like, "No, I really can't." Okay. Feyre jests that maybe she'll stay in the Summer Court. He's like, "Please do. I really need an ally in the Night Court. You do have Rhysand's ear." He speculates that Rhysand's actually a good dude. How is he so good and so terrible at reading people in the same moment? He asks if Tamlin really locked Feyre in the house and if she was saved by the Night Court. She just nods. Tarkin's like, "Okay, I won't alert Tamlin that you're here." Dude, was that still on the table? The rest of the day is spent visiting all of his other treasure rooms. He has more. Feyre feels a lot of guilt and a lot of shame for all the deceit she has to lay on right now. Tarkin being so nice Rice is not making it easy. When Feyre goes back to her room, cheeky old Rhysand's just chilling in her bed. She tells him all about Tarkin and how he wants an alliance desperately with the Night Court. Rhysand says that Cressida told him he's a little too ambitious. Feyre claps back real hard. She's like, oh, is that why you took her to bed with you last night? And she's jealous. Rhysand's like, is that why you've been giving me the cold shoulder? I didn't even get into her room last night. I was just flirting to keep her busy. Rhysand does admit to being jealous though. Jealous that Tarkin is easy to love. He wishes he was easy to love, but he says that Tarkin's never had to look up at the stars and wish. Feyre can sense his vulnerability right now, so she pours him a glass and makes a toast to people who look at the stars and wish. Rhysand also toasts to the stars who listen and the dreams that are answered. Can these two please just kiss already? Prediction time. I think that Tarkin is actually very suspicious of everyone. His niceness seems pretty genuine, but Feyre rolled in here with Rhysand and Amren. How safe can you feel with those two in your house? I still predict that Tarkin knows about Feyre's water powers. She's getting pretty loose with those bathtub water animals. If she can feel the water here, I imagine he can feel her feeling the water? I predict that the book is going to be somewhere very unassuming, like under Tarkin's mattress. Certainly not in a treasure room. That's like the first place you'd look. That being said, I've never had a treasure room or a magic book, so I guess I don't know. Chapter 35, let's go. 2 days have gone by and Rhysand's been holding meetings to keep everybody distracted while Feyre looks for that book. She's checked the library, the bookstore, the free bin at 2nd and Charles, nothing. She's been trying really hard to look like she's not trying really hard. She's getting real good at water animals in the bathtub though. Who hasn't got distracted on a side quest? After another fruitless day, she notices on her way back home a building that's been revealed by the low tide. Looks like a gross old water shack. She thinks the book might be in there, but seeing as it's visible to the entire city, she's gonna have to be completely certain. Lucky for her, she's got a plan. That night they're eating dinner in the Tarkin family dining room. Desperate for that alliance, Tarkin. Feyre's entertaining them with some stories of her day. She bought a fish on the street and ate it right there. She's a very unique woman. I see why everyone wants her. Finally, she asked Tarkin to join her on a trip to the mainland tomorrow. She saw an old shabby low-tide building that she'd really like to check out. You're laying it on too thick. At the mere mention of the low-tide building, Tarkin shoots a look over at Cressida. Jackpot. That just confirmed it. Tarkin's like, yeah, that's just like an old rundown temple ruin. We've been meaning to repair it. We just keep Halloween decorations in there right now. Don't go in there. Feyre infiltrates his mind. He wonders why Feyre's bringing this up. Wonders why she wanted to see all of his treasure. Wonders why he can't get a high score on Through the Fire and the Flames on Guitar Hero, even though he's played it for like a straight week. Feyre washes over all of his questions with her own thoughts and just a dash of Essence de Tarkin. There is no threat. Take her to the mainland to stop her from the questions. Give her another diamond necklace. Pass the potatoes. This works. Tarkin says he'll take her tomorrow, and Cressida and Varian have no objections, which leads me to believe that Rhys got to them first. After dinner, when everybody's asleep, Rhysand and Amren come to Feyre's room. The plan is simple. Figure out the guard rotation. Nuala and Caradwyn are scoping out the inside of the castle. Rhysand's gonna fly overhead and get a bat's eye view, and Feyre and Amren are gonna take a little nighttime stroll. Prediction time. I predict that I overestimated Tarkin. His group seems pretty naive. Sweet summer court children. I think at this point, they might just walk out with the book 0 issues. Tarkin and pals might not be an issue for him. I've been in enough temple ruins to know that there's going to be a lot of traps and magic spells down there. I think Amren's going to eat one of the guards. I haven't seen her eat anything this entire time. I think any perceived injustice towards her is going to be green light to go and get a snack. He was coming right at us. I had no choice. I predict that Cassian's back home just pouting so hard. Everyone gets to go on summer break but me. I have detention. I hope he learned his lesson. Chapter 36, let's go. Feyre hates all the deceit she has to pull on this poor sweet High Lord, but she keeps convincing herself that this is gonna save them. I mean, it will. After a long and uneventful day on the mainland, Feyre's tired and hungry and she wants to go back home. At dinner, Rhysand announces that they'll be leaving tomorrow afternoon. But really, if everything goes according to plan, they'll be dipping out before sunrise. He's gonna leave a note. Had a great time. Thanks for the jewels we may or may not have stolen from you. Have a great summer. Tarkin kisses Feyre on the cheek and tells her he wishes she didn't have to go. Maybe he'll come visit the Night Court soon. And Feyre almost crumbles like a cookie at how sweet he's being. They don't seem to have any idea what's about to happen. Like taking candy from an 80-year-old baby. Feyre goes back to her room to find Illyrian leathers and a belt of daggers waiting. It's showtime. Rhysand drops Amren and Feyre close to low tide. Then he heads up to monitor things. With each mucky step forward, Feyre can feel the book. There's no wards in this place. Suspicious, but very lucky. She gets to the center of the room and stops. It's buried under the mud. Sleeping. They dig and dig until finally they hit a lead door. Amren explains that the lead keeps the power of the book contained. It also protects them against Superman's X-ray vision. That might just be a lucky coincidence. The door is locked. Farah places her hand on it and almost passes out. She transforms herself into the essence and body of Tarkin, and the lock opens. She's definitely going to be transforming back into him now that she knows she can do this. The door opens, revealing a spiral staircase with a hallway. They totally got me with this. I thought the book was just going to be right on top. They're now trudging through icy, waist-deep water. Amren says she's never felt power like this. She can only imagine what the cauldron's like if this is just the user manual. They arrive at another lead door. Farah doesn't have to go full Tarkin on this one, but she does almost pass out again. Luckily, Amren's right behind her to catch her in her arms. Okay, she's kinda sweet. Through this door, the water stops at an invisible barrier. Atop a pedestal sits a lead box. I wonder what's in there. Just kidding, I know a quest item when I see one. The two step through the barrier and into the dry area. Once again, no traps. Just put a neon sign up that says, "Book here, please take." The book is now speaking to Farah. It wants to know who she is, to smell her. Hope it's not lactose intolerant. Tide's rolling back in, so they gotta be quick. Farah tells the book that she is Summer. Green things. Tarkin. And that seems to shut it up. She picks up the book and they go home. Just kidding, the book calls her a liar and slams the doors to the room shut. That is one sassy book. Prediction time. I predict that despite things looking pretty grim right now, they're gonna make their way out of this. You gotta remember that Farah's got that invisible protagonist armor. Pretty much makes her invincible. Even brought her back to life once. I predict that with how sassy this book is, it is not going to get along with Amren or Nesta, but I'd love to see a brunch with all three of them. I think Tarkin's completely oblivious to all of this, and when he finds out the book's been stolen, he's gonna hit up Spring Court and stage an attack on the Night Court. He seems really nice, but that could change at any moment. I predict that the book and Cauldron might be the only things I've seen so far that are more powerful than Amren. I still haven't seen her full power. I really would have liked to have seen a showdown between her and Amarantha. Dang it. Chapter 37. Let's go. Farah's got the book in her pocket. Amren's got her hand on the door. It starts heating up and releasing swirls that burst the door open. Farah makes it through. Farah throws Amren on her back and they start making a water path with their powers. Rhysand's nowhere in sight. Amren's like, "Do you know where he is?" They're almost to the exit, and all of a sudden a giant wall of water comes crashing in. The door seals on top, and now they're kind of just stuck in a watery tomb. Farah's got her talons out, and she's just clawing at this thing, and Amren's giving it all she's got on the magic. This door is not budging. Right as it's looking pretty grim and these two are about to pass out underwater, the door bursts open and some water wraiths pop up. I knew they'd come in handy. They give Farah some diamonds, and they're like, "Okay, we're even." Just kidding, they pull them both out and swim them to safety. Then they say we're even, and they swim away. Amren and Farah kind of pass out for a second, and they wake up with Rhysand standing over them very casually. He tells them they triggered pretty much every single alarm, and he spent his night stopping guards from alerting everybody. He grabs their arms and winnows them back to the townhouse. They arrive, along with a bunch of water and sand that just stains up the carpet. Not getting that security deposit back. The inner circle's there waiting for an explanation, and Rhysand says he's got one more tiny little favor to ask Farah. She's got to open the box. And I've got to say, this book is so much sassier than I originally thought. Possibly my new favorite character. The book says, "Hello, liar." Farah's like, "Open." And it goes, "Say please." Farah's like, "Please." Everybody's looking pretty confused right now. Then the book starts freestyling. Like calls to like. Made and unmade. Unmade and made. This is the cycle. Like calls to like. At least it's not a riddle. Then it calls Farah Cursebreaker and clicks open. The book is made of metal plates and bound by 3 rings. Gold, silver, and bronze. Amren looks very surprised. It's in a language that she says is not from this world. The Lashon HaKodesh, the Holy Tongue. Try flipping it over. Sometimes the English instructions are on the back. Amren realizes why she's here. This book can potentially break her spell and send her home. Also, she's the only one that can really decode it. Amren's real excited to get decoding, but she needs the other half of the book to get it going. Asriel speculates as to why Jurian would be loyal to the Highburn King. And Moore brings up that maybe he thinks Miriam is alive? Miriam from like 10 chapters ago, the one that's immortal? I knew she'd come back. She says that if he doesn't think she's alive, he might think that a king with a cauldron might be able to bring her back. Rhysand says that Jurian was always obsessed with goals, and he would bring back Miriam just to get revenge on Drekon. I don't know who any of these people are. Farah shoots a message to Rhysand through the bond. "To the dreams that are answered." He replies to that real quick. "To the huntress that remembers to reach back for those less fortunate." And water wraiths, who swim very, very fast. Prediction time. I predict that Miriam was the one that Jurian left Clythia for. She's alive and immortal, and I have just so many questions as to how. Was this a Farah situation? Why was she granted immortality? Is Jurian really dumb enough to fall for this? I think that my vampire prediction for Amryn is way off the table. She's just some kind of interdimensional monster from the Nightosphere. I predict that Tarkin just found out that book's been stolen, and he's not going to want to be friends with Rhysand and Farah anymore. No more sleepovers, no more touching his Nintendo, and certainly no more eating his pizza rolls. Does this mean his trip to the Night Court is off? Dang it. I wanted to see him dance. I predict that Farah has a lot more work to do with those water powers. Tub animals are cool, but not drowning is just a tiny bit better. Chapter 38. Let's go. Amryn's taken the book back to her house, which I imagine is more of a cave. Farah takes a nap and wakes up to an empty house and an unusually warm day. So she takes the opportunity to read outside. Totally get it. The sun starts to move, so Farah follows it up to the roof. And guess who's up there tanning his wings and sipping on some brown? That's right, Channing Tatum. Just kidding, it's Rhys. Next to him on the table is a box from the summer court. What's in the box? Rhysand's brooding about the way that he handled things in the summer court. He kind of thought of just asking Tarkin for the book, but secrecy was of the utmost importance. He didn't like hurting his guards, and he said that he probably should have just wiped their memories and then denied stealing the book instead of knocking them all out. Okay, so he feels bad for not lying better? He tells Farah to open the box. Inside are 3 very large, very red blood rubies. Rhys explains that the summer court sends these to people on their most wanted list, a list that they just jumped to the very top of. Farah's like, it's no big deal, man. We'll just apologize and give him the book back when we're done. It'll be all gravy. Rhysand's like, nope, Amryn gets to keep the book until she's done using it. Okay, so he really doesn't seem to feel that bad at all. Farah sees down to the root of the problem though. Rhysand wanted to be friends just as bad as Tarkin did, and now their bromance will never be. Rhysand doesn't really seem to be in the talking mood, but Farah remembers a time when she was not in a talking mood and he helped her maintain her sanity. You know, when she was a prisoner under the mountain? So she does what she knows he likes and starts flirting it up. Hey, I'm going to ye old Victoria's Secret. I'll let you come with me. Even this doesn't pull him out of his brood mood. The next couple pages are just flirt, 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 flirt. Rhysand admits that he thinks Farah's attractive. And right when this conversation's about to switch to the next gear, Azriel flies in and totally ruins the moment. Farah leaves to give the two some privacy, and she immediately feels bad about Tamlin. That lasts about 2 seconds before she starts fantasizing about how their trip to the store would have gone. I probably can't describe the full fantasy, but I will say don't ever do this in a store you want to go back to. Farah abruptly ends this fantasy when she realizes that Rhys slipped it past her shields. He thinks it's hilarious. She reinforces her shields and goes to take a cold bath. It's probably the move. That night, right as Farah's about to fall asleep, a bunch of darkness starts seeping into her bedroom. I wonder where that came from. She follows her invisible tether to Rhysand's room. She bumps around in the dark until she finds him, and he is having a nightmare. She calmly slaps him in the face to wake him up. Not working. He doesn't sleep with any clothes on. Farah notices this right when he wakes up and grabs her with talons out. She uses her darkness to soothe his darkness, and he slowly wakes up. He feels very bad and apologizes. She realizes that this is why Rhysand sleeps here and not with the others. He doesn't want him to see this. She puts her hand on his shoulder and says, if you ever need to talk, you can come to me. I won't tell anyone. Before she leaves, he grabs her hand and says thank you. She kisses him on the cheek and goes to bed. But first she looks back to see him in the most brooding pose we've ever seen him in. Kneeling on the ground, wings out, just head down. She thinks this would make a great painting. But now's not the time. Prediction time. I predict that even though Tarkin just declared them Summer Court's most wanted, he's a big old softie and they're eventually going to be best friends. I predict that even though it seems like things are going to get hot and heavy between Farah and Rhysand every time they share the page, this book might just be one long tension build and I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that Azriel was flying in to completely ruin the mood, but also deliver some news from the queens. Are we about to go back to the mortal realm? Watch out, Mrs. Laurent. I predict that the quote from the serial about staying with the High Lord finally just clicked for me. Is it Rhysand? I can't believe I forgot this, but it just popped into my brain. Has it been Rhysand the whole time? I guess it could be Tarkin. Lucian's dad? No. Chapter 39, let's go. Farah goes to Amryn's penthouse apartment. It's not a cave, but it does have an amazing open floor plan. And she brought Amryn a to-go mug. It's blood. Amryn's been spending the last couple days brushing up on her holy tongue. And Farah's about to just stroll in here and ask a bunch of annoying questions. Hey, what's your favorite kind of blood? Is human good? Do birds have blood? See what I mean? Farah sees that Amryn is using her blood ruby as a paperweight. He's like, oh, so I see you chose not to destroy Ariata. Amryn explains that Varian sent her a gift, kind of a peace offering. It's that necklace from the treasure trove that Farah was like, it'd have to be a pretty powerful lady lady to wear that. And it is. Farrah's like, were you two together? Amren's like, tempting as that may be, no, I can't tell if he hates me or wants me. Called it, kind of. It was a one-off insane prediction I made about Amren and Varian. I can't believe that's even possible. Farrah has another magic little texting convo with Rhysand. We find out the meaning behind his knee tattoo. The mountain with the stars. He bows before nothing and no one except his crown. Dude is so edgy. Weeks go by and nothing. Asriel can't seem to get any new info on the queens. Cassian and Morgan have created a diet plan to go along with Farrah's training so that she can get max gains. She's about to get so swole. And Farrah's doing blade training and superpower training. No beast mode or winnowing though. We find out that Rhysand did want to become a High Lord, but he wanted to be like way cooler than his dad was. What is it with High Lords and daddy issues? And finally, the queens speak. Oh, word from the queens, everyone listen. They sent a letter and they're going to Farrah's family home tomorrow. So much to clean, so little time. The inner circle's all going, minus Amren, probably for the best. The queens have 3 rules for this visit. 1, everybody gotta show up unarmed. Check those arms at the door, Cassian. 2, the meeting begins promptly at 11 o'clock. The queens are morning people, but not really. They have to stop and get iced coffees on the way. 3, they want an extremely detailed layout of the house, the floor plan, the furniture before they arrive. Luckily, I've already created the entire place in The Sims. The day comes and everybody's waiting in the living room wearing their Sunday best. And then the queens winnow inside? That caught me. Also, I only counted 5. Where's number 6? Prediction time. I don't think that the queens are even remotely fae, or magic for that matter. I think that winnowing probably just came with their position, nice little perk of being queen, or they're just really good magicians. I predict that Nesta's going to say something extremely out of pocket, probably more than once. Use a coaster. That's what you wore. You guys don't look like queens. Don't worry, it's not an extremely delicate situation or anything. I really want the queens to be cool, but I predict that they're gonna be kinda hard to get along with. Also, they're queens. Going off their entrance alone, they seem pretty extra. And given that all the people fear and hate the Fae, I feel like the queens probably do too. I predict that right in the middle of the meeting, Farrah's dad is going to return home from his business trip wearing a tropical button-down, just very confused. Oh, hello, queens. High Lord. Newly fayed daughter. I'll get some tea for everyone. Has anyone seen Mrs. Lorenz? Chapter 40, let's go. 1 old, 2 middle-aged, and 2 young queens arrive with some guards. I'm only counting 5. The 6th one is unwell and she can't make it today. Okay, that's a contingency plan if I've ever seen one. Introductions go around and when they get to Morrigan, they actually know her. You know, from the legends. Same one. The eldest queen says that they have 1 hour. Make it count. I already don't like these dusty queens. They explain that their winnowing abilities are a secret, and also a gift from the Fae. Could even be someone in this very room. Probably not. Rhysand begins to explain the incoming threat from Highburn, and they're like, we already know. We've been preparing for years. Okay, I'm gonna need you guys to check the toot at the door. Farrah tells them that this territory they're currently in doesn't seem prepared at all, and they're like, we know. Defending this place would be a total waste of resources. We're willing to lose it for the greater good. Let the High Fae defend it, it's their mess anyways. Oh, I get it now, they're the worst. Nesta jumps in, and at this point I'd like them to feel her wrath. And they do. She says that there's servants, children, and families in this land, and she can't believe they would just leave them. Oh, well, that's nice of her. With the High Fae. Okay, there she goes. Rhysand says that neither side of the wall is blameless in this entire thing, and with their combined effort, everyone can be saved. But he's betrayed by his bad boy reputation. They know about all the bad things he's done. Also, they only really know about the Court of Nightmares. When the queens finally say that they're not giving up the book, Farrah explains just what Amarantha did to her, and Prithian, and she promises that there's no way the humans are prepared for this level of threat. Once again, the eldest queen is a total jerk. She says that Farrah has a lot to learn about the world. And that's how you set Rhysand off. He says never to condescend her. She's speaking for those who can't defend themselves, and the queens are speaking solely from a place of cowardice. Yeah, this is going about as well as I thought it would. And at this point, Morrigan's over it too. She's like, listen up, queens, I'm about to drop some truth on you. I am the Morrigan of legend. I am truth. Your ancestors knew it, and we were friends. It's no coincidence that another human has been made immortal right when all this stuff comes up again. I fought alongside Miriam and Drakon. Your ancestors would be ashamed. Pause. Are we talking about the Miriam they were bringing up like 10 chapters ago? Then she starts giving up way too much information about Miriam and Drakon. They've apparently been living in peace with other humans and children on an island in the middle of nowhere, completely secret. Rhysand's like, okay guys, we've said a lot here. The queens want proof. Rhysand says he'll get it. And his tone spooks the guards. Bunch of little babies. The Gold Queen says, good luck, and they all winnow out. Everyone's just kind of silently looking at each other, and Elaine's like, I hope they all burn in heck. Elaine! Good thing your dad's not home. Prediction time. I predict that the 6 queens stayed back just in case this was an ambush. One of them needed to stay safe. I also think it might be Mrs. Laurent. This could have been some kind of undercover boss situation. I think that the queens are gonna have to flip the page real quick here and get very cool. They need to get that book, it's gotta happen, and there's only one way to do it. Also, once they see something like the ACOTAR, I think they're gonna be like, hey guys, we were a little rash. I predict that Miriam and Drakon are about to get some backstory. I really need to know if what happened to her is exactly what happened to Farah. Also, I've got like a million questions. Who are they? What are they? Where do they live? Children? I predict and hope that the next time this group all gets together, one of the guards decides to step up and Cassian manhandles him. I'd really like to see it. Chapter 41, let's go. After a silent ride back to the townhouse, Rhysand trudges straight to the courtyard to brood. Amren's like, well, I take it that went well. Annoy him while he's down. He'd have done the same to you. Rhysand says that the queens are frightened fools. They want proof of their trustworthiness. Asriel has the best idea I've heard yet. Dispose of them and find better queens. I like where his head's at, but Rhysand says that might destroy the book. No bad ideas, keep them coming. Morrigan says that Miriam and Drakon, whoever they are, might be able to help. Rhysand says no, and we get some story time to really explain why. 500 years ago, in a sandy wasteland kingdom called the Blacklands, Miriam was born. No human born in this land was free, including Miriam. Rhysand said that the queen of this land made Amarantha look like Elaine, little cutie. Despite her half-fae heritage, she was treated like a human. Miriam was given to a foreign prince, Drakon, as a wedding gift. He was horrified, and he let her free. She escaped to the desert, where she met Jurian. The two hit it off pretty well, and they started dating. She also became the healer of his troops. And one day, she healed a familiar face, Drakon. Turns out he'd been searching for her for the last 3 years, after she opened his eyes to how terrible his soon-to-be wife was. He broke it off. Drakon found Jurian and allied with the humans, but ultimately just fell in love with Miriam behind his back. Morgan jumps up at this point, and she's like, it wasn't behind his back, she ended it before anything happened. Good. Dump him, girl. Jurian was like obsessed with victory, so he didn't even notice. For the last 500 years, everyone, even Amarantha, thought that these two had ended at the final battle of the Blacklands. Amarantha told Jurian's eyeball that they were gone, and she betrayed him. So I can't imagine he'd be too happy to see her. Farah asks why they wouldn't be able to help. Rhysand says, 1, that would do nothing to prove my character, which was the main thing in question, and 2, the only thing they asked for was to be left alone, and not doing that would be a giant betrayal to our friends. Alright, fine. Rhysand does have a plan though. He tells Morrigan to call up her dad. They're taking a field trip to the Court of Nightmares. Morrigan's family possesses the Orb of Veritas. It contains the same truth magic that runs in her blood. The humans have used this orb in the past, and they regard its tellings as absolute truth. Rhys is planning yet another retrieval quest to get it. Farah takes a stroll down to the artist quarter and convinces herself that she's gonna go in there today. Then she totally babies out and talks herself all the way back to the townhouse. Rhysand's waiting, and it looks like something's on his mind. He's debating whether or not to bring Farah along to the Court of Nightmares. He said that she just stopped looking at him as a monster, and tomorrow he's gonna have to wear that old High Lord mask and pretty much look like one again. Farah says she's not scared, she can handle anything, except the artist quarter apparently. We learn from Rhysand that while Morrigan was in the Court of Nightmares, she was auctioned off as a bride to Eris, Lucian's brother. Dude was not cool. When she found out, Rhys took her to the Illyrian camp to kind of clear her head. That's where she met Cassian and developed a plan. To make herself less appealing to her soon-to-be husband, she got with Cassian. It worked, but when her family found out, they took it out on her. They nailed a note to her, basically saying, Eris, this is your problem now, and left her on the border of the Autumn Court. And eventually, Asriel found her. Farah says only, tell me what I need to do tomorrow. Prediction time. I think that Rhysand's about to go scorched earth on the Court of Nightmares if they give him any lip. Sounds like he's got some pent-up resentment, and I'd really like to see him work it out down there. I think Jurian's about to be so mad when he finds out that not only is Miriam alive, but she's living her best life with Drakon on a tropical island with her kids. Good. I hope he's mad. Jurian sounds like a total man-child. Had he not been so focused on glory, he may have noticed the prize in front of him the entire time. I think that Farah's ready to go into this calm and collected, but the second they say anything out of line, she's just gonna lose it completely. She's got some Nesta in her. Chapter 42. Let's go. Rhys and the Bat Boys are flying Farah to the Court of Nightmares. He's really stressed about the role he's asked Farah to play today, so she lightens the mood with a joke about his tiny little fae hood. Right as their conversation's getting a little spicy, an ash arrow whizzes by their head, then a bunch more. Who could it be? Tarquin? Tamlin? Hybern? Amarantha's ghost, the eldest queen, the guy at Tropical Smoothie that always messes up Rhysand's avocado. He's got so many enemies. The group shields up and flies down to a clearing in the pines. Rhysand says he and Cassian will take to the skies to find the threat. He tells Azriel to take Farah to the palace and await their arrival. Farah says, no, I'm an excellent tracker on the ground and I'll help Azriel. Is this really the time to flex? They only have an hour before they're expected in the Court of Nightmares, and when they're done searching, they come up empty-handed. Morrigan guides Farah through the mammoth doors of the Court of Nightmares. Ornate sculptures line the halls. Streams run through the food court. They've got a JCPenney and a TJ Maxx. As Morrigan and Farah head down to Rhys's underground castle, not too shabby, big guy, Farah sees no lesser fae, only the high fae. People seem pretty rich and rude down here. Somebody even hisses at Morrigan. She just smiles and keeps on walking. Morrigan approaches the throne to tell everybody that their High Lord is coming in now. He's not in a great mood today, so get it together, you little rascals. Rhysand enters to Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, and the vibe changes. Everybody fears him down here, and he's not masking an ounce of his power. Farah is so into it. Cassian and Azriel stroll in, and they don't look anything like the fun little guys they are. Morrigan and the Bat Boys bow, and everybody else follows their lead, including Farah. Rhys walks up to Farah, and he lifts her chin and says, welcome to my home, Farah Cursebreaker. Guy is just dripping with charisma. Farah is playing the role of Rhysand's new pet today. Similar to Under the Mountain, he guides her to the throne and has her sit on his lap, and the distraction ensues. Rhysand keeps everybody in downward dog for a while he tells Farah not to let it go to her head that every man in here wants a piece of her. She's like, shut up baby, I know it. She's feeling herself. And Rhysand. They're getting pretty handsy with each other, and Rhysand lets everybody rise. He's like, you guys can go play now. Rhys summons Morrigan's dad, Kier, to the throne. He's handsome, but he seems like a bit of a turd. Rhysand tells Kier to report. As soon as he starts, Rhys just is barely paying attention, really focused on getting handsy with Farah. Everybody else on the dance floor is bumping and grinding, but they're keeping a close eye on this peep show. Kier's rambling on for quite a while. Finally, he acknowledges the rumors that Rhysand stole the bride of the Spring Court. He says some very demeaning things about Farah, to which she replies through the bond, I know you're a good guy, this is all a show, I get it. Kier makes a backhanded comment, and Rhys is like, go get Farah some juice. He's just treating this guy like the old cheese he is. He returns with the juice, but he doesn't want to interrupt them because this has elevated. Rhys is all over Farah, and he's just maintaining eye contact with Kier the entire time. Don't look away now, you're part of this dude. We also learn a little bit about Rhysand's impressive wingspan. Things are getting real spicy, and thank the cauldron, Azriel shows up and motions that he has the orb. Rhys is like, okay Farah, go to Cassian now. She starts walking by and passes Kier right as he says, you'll get what's coming to you, calls her a real dirty name. Night fills the room. People scream. When it clears up, Kier is on his knees. Rhys tells him to apologize. Twice, no third time though, he shatters both of his arms. Kier apologizes and cries a lot. Rhys breaks his pinky and tells them to dump him in his room. Oh, he also says not to go to a healer because if he does, he'll come back and tear him to ribbons. Farah has mixed emotions about this, but after seeing Rhys's full power and his wrath, I think she wants more. Prediction time. I predict that Kier is going to hold a grudge. Probably already does. Rhysand probably should have just taken this dude out. I predict that the Court of Nightmares has already sided with the King of Highburn. They seem like they'd love this guy. Probably with Amarantha too. I think Farah is officially into Rhysand, which means lights out, Big T. Time to shave the breakup beard and move on. Chapter 43, let's go. Morrigan and the Bat Boys, sick name for a band, are headed back home with the orb. Farah and Rhysand pull off by a little mountainside lake to unpack what just happened. Rhysand apologizes for the 100th time about how he had to just treat Farah, and for the 100th time, she accepts his apology. She does tell him not to protect her by blocking her out. Rhys freaks out at this thinly veiled comparison to Tamlin. He's not that guy, and never will be. He says he knows how history will paint him, the villain that stole the bride away from the blonde hero. He'll meet a bad end and deserve it. And Farah's like, what about what I want? And Rhysand's like, what do you want? What do you want? When Farah comes up empty, Rhysand's like, yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe you should spend some time figuring that out one day. Well, he's got her there. Let's see what she comes back with. Farah says, at least I don't wear a mask to keep my friends out. Afraid that if they ever saw the real me and walked away, I couldn't handle that rejection. That's a one-hit KO! Rhysand literally flinches at that one. And after a moment of saying absolutely nothing, he grabs her arm and winnows them back to the townhouse. As soon as they get back, Rhysand's ambushed by Morrigan and the Bat Boys. They want to know why he just shattered that man's arms. Farah takes this as an opportunity to slink off to bed. But she doesn't go to bed. She goes to the Garden of Contemplation to have herself a good think. She realizes that Rhysand trusted her with his vulnerable... Tip the tongue, the teeth. She realizes that Rhysand trusted her with those vulnerabilities, and she threw him in that pretty little face of his. She also realizes that everything she said to Rhysand she actually meant about herself. Projecting much? She comes to the conclusion that things are officially over between her and Tamlin, and it's time to join Team Rhys. Get this woman a t-shirt, a hat, and a foam finger, please. Be a couple of those bumper stickers with her name on it. She wants a relationship, even if she doesn't know what that looks like. She waits in the garden for Rhysand to join her. She really wants to apologize and confess her feelings, but Rhysand never shows up. I mean, yeah, even the most powerful High Lord in history has feelings, and you just hurt every one of them. The next day, Rhysand's a no-show at breakfast, lunch, and he's ghosting Feyre's magic text messages. Feyre goes over to Amren's house to do a wellness check and bring her something to eat, drink. It's blood. Amren's charming as always. The reason Rhysand bit my head off today. Good to see ya, Feyre. Feyre does notice that Varian's necklace is next to the bed, as if she fell asleep looking at it. Amren says that Rhysand's out hunting down yesterday's attackers. Oh, and also they can track him anytime he uses magic now. Neat! She also says that 2 days from now, the Inner Circle is going to stay at the Illyrian camps and leave Valeris. Safety and whatnot. The only reason they're not leaving today is because Starfall approaches. It's the Night Court equivalent to Ninesar? It's the first one they get to celebrate as a free people in 50 years. Before Feyre leaves, Amren says, after the events of Under the Mountain, Rhysand was a ghost. You brought him back to life. Feyre says that he's lucky to have the Inner Circle. Amren says no, we're lucky to have him. I've known a lot of High Lords. Nobody dreams of peace, unity, and better life for all like Rhys does. He thinks he'll be remembered as the villain, but the real villain is the one who locks a maiden away. Feyre says he was the one that freed her. The morning of Starfall, Feyre sends another magic text Rhysand's way. This one really has a focus on Rhys being a coward. It vanishes, but never returns. Prediction time. I predict that Rhys set his magic notepad to airplane mode, and he went to Tamlin's house. She's just so mean. I don't know what to do. I'm not locking her up. Dude, you have one idea for everything. I think that all the progress that Rhys and Feyre just made on their relationship is going to be set back a few chapters, which is a real bummer considering she just decided she wants to go steady. I predict that in about 5 minutes, Kier will be waking up very confused as to how he got in his bed, and wondering why no nurses have come to check on his noodle arms. I predict that it's going to be very hard going forward not to get Amren out of my head as Edna mode. I just can't stop waiting for her to hit somebody with a rolled up newspaper. Chapter 44, let's go. Feyre is looking absolutely fierce in her all-black Starfall outfit. If we're wearing the same thing, one of us is going to have to change. She goes to the rooftop, hoping to find Rhys, and he's there. Oh, nope, it's Cassian. As he flies Feyre to the House of Wind, she notices that all the lights in Valeris are out, and all the townies are at the House of Wind. When they get there, Cassian immediately leaves Feyre to go talk to a stranger. Morrigan comes to her side, and on her way over, we notice that Asriel's checking her out super hard. Chill out, dude, this is a family event. Amren's not here. Something about Starfall disturbs her. Interesting. Morrigan says she's gonna join them tomorrow on the trip to the Illyrian camp, but when they get there, she's gotta leave and go check on her dad's arms. Don't forget his pinky. Feyre asks Morrigan about her history with Cassian. We learn a lot. When Morrigan found out she was to be auctioned off, she wanted to be the one to choose who her first was. Rhys took her to the Illyrian camp. She also wanted it to be with the strongest Illyrian warrior. She saw Cassian, not even a question. Rhysand was pretty mad at Cassian for the trouble he now had Morrigan in, so he gave him a stern talking to. With his fists, Morrigan said she would never do it again because of the rift it created between the Bat Boys. She says now Cassian just wants what he can't have, and it drives him nuts that she was able to just walk away without ever looking back. Rhysand agrees. Oh yeah, Rhysand's here now. He says, hey Feyre, you finally look like a woman again. King of charisma, this guy. Morrigan takes the hint, and she goes and talks to a stranger. She's like, oh, Jessica, hi. No, you stay there. I'll come to you. Feyre's like, are you done punishing me? To which Rhys replies, I just needed some time alone, but I'm glad my absence felt like a punishment. And we're back. Feyre changes the subject, and she asks what Starfall is. Rhysand's like, look up. She sees a very close star shoot all the way across the sky and disappear on the horizon. Everybody cheers and takes a big old sip. Then hundreds, maybe even thousands of stars begin to do the same thing. Do they sip for everyone? They're gonna be absolutely pickled. People begin dancing. Rhysand looks over and sees Morrigan and the Bat Boys all dancing together as if it might be their last time. It might. This makes him sad, so he's like, Feyre, come on, I have a quieter, better viewing area. If it's his bedroom. Nope, it's a small private balcony. Still wouldn't put it past him. We learn that the stars are actually spirits migrating to some unknown location. Well, that's fun. Feyre apologizes and said that she was pretty much projecting a lot of stuff onto him. Rhys says he's not blameless either. Rhysand says he needed space mainly because she was right. Rhys tells Feyre that Amaranth Amarantha knew what Starfell meant to Rhys, and she made him service her every time the holiday came around. What, like an oil change? Farrah says this is the kind of stuff he should let his friends in on. He throws that one right back at her too. Right when these two are getting close again, a star spirit splatters all over Farrah's face. Rhys-Ann laughs, as anyone would, until one hits him in the face. Now they're both laughing and covered in glowing stardust. Farrah takes his hand and paints a little star in it. Is this stuff toxic? Also, that's the first time Farrah paints again. It's finger painting, but let her have it. Farrah smiles, her first genuine, mildly romantic smile at Rhys-Ann. He says she's exquisite. Farrah's like, hey, you still owe me 2 thoughts, let's go. 1, Rhys-Ann didn't come back because he thought Farrah would throw him out of his own house. 2, he wishes he could take back that kiss under the mountain. He was angry, she didn't like it, and he knew it was gonna make her hate him. Yeah, it did. Farrah realizes she's never had trust or honesty with anyone, and she asks Rhys-Ann to dance. He says he's very glad he met her. The chicken dance is about to start, and I can't miss that. Prediction time. I think that Amren knows about the origins of Starfall. If she's an interdimensional being, maybe these things are too. You definitely shouldn't be getting them in your eyes like that. I think there's nothing between Morrigan and Cassian, which leaves all of my hopes on Morrigan and Azriel. Honestly though, I think she just works really well as a single lady, just hitting the open road on her Harley. I predict that while you only get one first kiss, Rhys and Farrah's second will be much better. Honestly, the bar's pretty low. As long as it's not in a broom closet with her ex-boyfriend around, it's already gonna be good. Chapter 45, let's go. Farrah can't stop thinking about how her and Rhys-Ann slow danced all night at Starfall. He walked her to her room, kissed her on the forehead, and went to his own room like the gentleman he is. Despite Farrah waiting up all night for him to come in and take her to the real court of dreams, he didn't. Farrah wants Rhys real bad. Despite her inner monologue constantly calling her a traitor, she's been gone from the spring court for 2 months. I mean, I wouldn't go back either. Near the top of a wooded mountain sits the Illyrian camp. It's cold, rocky, muddy, no joy or warmth. Imagine the Renaissance Festival during the off-season. We meet Lord Devlin. He's the leader of the camp. He doesn't seem like the worst, but he's definitely kind of annoying. Rhys-Ann asks him why the girls aren't training in the pit. What girls? Lord Devlin says that it's because they haven't finished their chores yet. Rhys is like, get them in the pit. Rhys tells him that they're gonna occupy his mom's old house, and Lord Devlin's like, yeah, my best warriors are occupying it currently. Well, have them unoccupy it and clean the place up while they're at it. Devlin finally mentions Farrah, and Rhys-Ann says, loud enough for everybody to hear, she's mine. Anybody lays a hand on her, they lose the hand, and then their head. And when Farrah's done doing that, I'm gonna crush her bones to dust. I take it this place doesn't have an HR department. Rhys takes Farrah to the Illyrian steps so she can train. The whole way there, she just keeps calling herself a traitor to Tamlin, but Rhys saying, she's mine, definitely makes her feel a little bit better. Farrah asks about the girls. Good, I had no idea what they were talking about. Azriel's focused on training the women to fight. Lord Devlin's actually one of the only leaders that lets this happen. He whines a little bit. Farrah needs to know how Rhys-Ann met Tamlin. He agrees to tell her, but first he wants some magic out of her. She conjures a little water butterfly in her hand. That like barely counts, but fine. Rhys met Tamlin at various events in their youth. He could tell that they had the same struggles in life, so they kind of became friends. To the point where Rhys-Ann actually taught Tamlin some Illyrian training techniques. This power and alliance threatened Tamlin's dad, and eventually he retaliated. More magic needed to continue, please. Farrah conjures up a little water bird this time. Still barely counts, but I know this story. Tamlin's dad got some information from him that Rhys-Ann was going to meet his mom and his sisters in the woods near camp that day. Rhys-Ann ended up being busy. Tamlin's dad, brothers, and Tamlin all went to ambush them. When they realized that Rhys-Ann wasn't there, they still took them all out. Tamlin's dad saved their wings as trophies and sent their heads downriver to the nearest Illyrian camp. Rhys is gonna need some more magic for the next part of this story, so she freezes all of the animals midair. Rhys says he wasn't entirely truthful under the mountain. There's a surprise. He was there when his family took out Tamlin's family. They snuck in at night. Rhys took out the brothers, while his dad took out Tamlin's father, but then he took out Tamlin's mother. He told Rhys he wouldn't do that. He went to get Tamlin, and Rhys stepped in front of his door. Tamlin came out and took out Rhys's dad. As the power transferred to both of them and they became High Lords, they kind of just stared at each other for a minute until Rhys ran away. Farrah's so upset by this story that she erupts with fire and lights the entire clearing ablaze. She's looking at Rhys-Ann and she thinks this would be another great painting. She'd paint him scary, but when he got up close, you could tell he was just a gentle softie. She runs to him and says, I want to paint you. And Rhys just says, best to do it nude. Prediction time. Reese and Tamlin seem to have a mutual respect for each other, so when they inevitably get into a showdown, I don't think either one is going to end the other. That being said, Tamlin might be completely feral at this point, and I don't know if that's true. I predict that now that Farah understands how easy it is to combine her powers, she's well on her way to becoming the most powerful person in the entire series. I mean, dual wielding fire and ice is pretty much how I get through any Skyrim playthrough, and she's doing it. I don't think Farah actually intended to paint Rhysand with clothes on anyways. She can play it off like he's being cheeky all she wants, but I think we all know what got her into painting: his impressive wingspan. After that giant drop of knowledge about Tamlin and Rhys's history, he's gotta be popping up any day now, right? I'm so afraid. Chapter 46, let's go. Cassian tells Farah that the Illyrian camp location is chosen specifically in a harsh area so that only the strongest warriors survive. Neat! He says that today, one of the female warriors confessed that they haven't trained in 10 days because they've been so busy with their chores. Dang it, Lord Drevin, just let the ladies fight. Morgan adds on that out of the 10 female warriors, only 3 of them were born fighters, but it doesn't matter anyways because all their families want is to clip their wings and force them to have little tiny Illyrians. Morgan's taken off in the morning, so Rhys and Farah give Cassian and her some time to eat alone. They head upstairs. Looks like Morgan's shacking up with Farah tonight, but their room is only 3 steps away from Rhysand's. They do that real awkward, are you gonna make a move, am I gonna make a move, we're both leaning on our door kind of thing, and just stand there silently for a second. Eventually, Farah's lovely little inner monologue kicks in and calls her a traitor again. Rhys was just about to say something and Farah just turns around and goes into her room. Just kiss already. The next morning, Farah and Rhysand go deep into the woods so that Farah can train her powers again. She had some time to think last night and all she really wants is a casual, fun, completely physical, friends with benefits relationship with Rhysand. It seems less traitorous, but does it? Rhys keeps his distance as Farah looks for a spot to train. Probably doesn't want to catch a stray talon to the wing. They're sensitive. Farah finds a stream with a lot of open space around it and she decides this is the spot. She turns to talk to Rhys, but someone calls her name, and thank goodness it's just 4 Springcourt Sentinels and Lucian. Prediction time. I predict that things are looking pretty bad from Lucian's perspective right now. Farah has full-on superpowers, she's hanging out with Rhysand, she's not wearing any of the clothes Ianthe picked out for her, she is wearing Illyrian leathers, and there's a certain independent smolder in her eyes that I don't think Tamlin's gonna appreciate. I predict that whatever Tamlin's doing right now must be pretty important for him to miss a Farah sighting. He's a big High Lord with big High Lord problems. Probably taxing the unfortunate or something dumb like that. I predict that whatever's about to happen is gonna set Rhys and Farah's relationship back again, and I just don't think I can handle that. I need them to get it together so that they can get together. Chapter 47, let's go. Farah has an arrow drawn right at Lucian, and he is just so confused. He tells her that they've been looking for her for over 2 months. They followed a tip that led them right to the unmistakable scent of pocket cheese. There's a short walk from there. Rhysand is still too far back at the moment to do anything. There's only a little bit of distance between Farah and that stream. Lucian says that they need to get Farah out of here right now. Tamlin has not been himself lately. He takes a step towards Farah, she takes a step back. Lucian sees that Farah is wearing Illyrian leathers and he starts putting 2 and 2 together. He's like, we need to get home now. Farah says, that stopped being my home when you let Tamlin lock me up. Lucian's like, listen, we all made a lot of mistakes, I'm really sorry, but we got to go. Farah still has her arrow drawn, and she realizes that if Lucian touches her, they're about to winnow out, and they're closing in on her like she's a lost pet. Farah takes a look back at the stream to gauge her distance, and that look costs her. Lucian lunges his hand towards her, and out of nowhere she vanishes behind the guards. This time she's next to Rhysand. And despite the use of his magic leading his enemies right to him, Rhysand had to change into his fancy outfit. Look good, feel good, I get it. Lucian immediately insults Rhysand, and Farah growls in his defense. Lucian seems a little confused at that one. Lucian says Tamlin will never stop looking for her, even though he's not here right now, and never stop waiting for her to come back. He asks if Rhysand meddled with her mind, and Rhys is just about over this conversation. He says, we're done. Otherwise, I can send your heads back to Tamlin as a message of what happens when you send your muscle to invade my land. That one's pretty clear, I think you guys better go. Farah says that Lucian was her friend, until he saw what Tamlin was doing to her, how it affected her, and just kind of let it happen. Farah can't make this any easier by explaining Night Court or anything she's done in her time there to Lucian, so she goes the opposite direction. She shoots her talons out, and then she says, when you spend so long in the darkness, Lucian, the darkness begins to stare back. Where is this confidence coming from? That was pretty cool. Then she sprouts wings. Okay, she definitely got very cool. And wouldn't you know it, they are very sensitive. She smiles and tells Lucian that if Tamlin sends anybody else looking for her, she'll hunt them down and destroy them. Girl, chill out, it's Lucian. Lucian looks pretty hurt by that one. This has been the saddest part in the series for me. He's just a sweet boy. The Sentinels realize they're done here and they vanish. Lucian sticks around to tell Rhysand that him and his entire court are going to pay for this. Then he vanishes. Rhys asks Farah if she's okay. She's like, totally fine. She said the scary part was how easy that was. Getting pretty dark here, Farah. The two gaze at each other as they fly to a new training spot. Rhys says she looks good with wings, and then he kisses her on the forehead, and she just eats that right up. Prediction time. I predict that Tamlin's not doing anything back at Spring Court. Maybe him and Ianthe were out at Bed Bath & Beyond picking out curtains. Maybe he just wanted to rot today. Maybe he's getting better at playing the fiddle. I don't know, but why isn't he here? I predict that Lucian's going to cry himself to sleep tonight, and I hate it. I know he played his part in this, but I just feel so bad for the little guy. I predict that Rhysand's feeling real good knowing that this little encounter is definitely going to ruin Tamlin's entire month. And Lucian mentioned that Ianthe had gotten out of hand. I don't know if he meant before or after Farah left, but I think that if Rhys gets the chance to see her again, he's not letting her go this time. She's gotta be one of the villains, right? Chapter 48, let's go! At the Forest Inn, Rhysand disguises himself to look like a completely normal, extremely handsome man that perfectly resembles the High Lord of the Night Court. The room they'll share tonight is tiny, with only one bed. Rhysand says he asked for two. This is the oldest trick in the book. And honestly, he's so old he may have written the book. Farah says, body heat will keep us warm. Sparks. Don't worry, she douses those sparks immediately by saying that me and my sisters used to share a bed. Girl, pick a lane. Rhysand says that he likes the way Farah looks at him. She doesn't fear his power. It's like she really sees him. She's like, I feared you the first time we met. He's like, no you didn't. I felt true terror in people. You were nervous at best. Maybe why I kept coming back. Rhys goes to get the two food. Farah changes into fleece-lined leggings, an oversized sweater, and some knee-high socks. And with that, she's ready for pumpkin spice cold brew season. Farah sits on the bed waiting for Rhys to return. She comes to the conclusion that Amarantha shattered her and Tamlin so much that the pieces no longer fit together. Hey, whatever you gotta say to justify what's about to happen. She's right though. Rhys returns with rabbit stew and meat pies, the most romantic of meals. He starts changing and Farah forces herself to think unspicy thoughts. Baseball. Cold showers, mowing the lawn, the surreal. We learn that Rhysand needs to release little bits of magic all the time, otherwise it'll build up and drive him insane. Luckily, Amren taught him to control this pretty well. How does she know how to do it? Rhysand tells Farah that he heard every word between her and Lucian. He decided that if she chose to go with him, he would let it be. It's her choice, but if they took her unwillingly, he'd have torn the world apart to return her. Just seems like a good dude. Farah replies that if they'd attacked Rhys, she'd have destroyed all of them. The two play the old thought for a thought game, and it sounds like they're actually both thinking something similar. They think of each other constantly, and it's getting pretty distracting. Time to cut this tension. Well, it's time for bed, and the two start to cuddle, strictly for survival reasons. At first, things start getting pretty hot and heavy, and Farah's just trying to get it at this point. She says she wants fun and distraction. Rhys is happy to oblige. He's rounding third with bases loaded, and then he just stops. He says this isn't the proper place to bed her. They're gonna need wide open space with no casualties and a wall and table strong enough to support both their weight. Dear Lord. Despite Farah being completely on fire, she actually manages to fall asleep and has no nightmares. Prediction time. I predict that I'm gonna have to start getting very creative to start describing what's going on in future chapters in a way that won't get me in trouble. Chapter 55 is starting to scare me. I don't know what it's about, but I think I do. I think the magic buildup is potentially what happened and is currently happening to Tamlin. He's going power mad, and while it doesn't justify his behavior, I don't know enough about it to think he's a complete lost cause. I think that Rhys using his magic to change outfits earlier is going to have some consequences. They can track you, dude. I predict that Farah's going to need an ice bath, some math homework, and a full box of cornflakes every morning to stop being so distracted by Rhysand. If these two can't stop focusing on their tension, it's gonna get them in trouble. Either that or Farah's going to pass out from thirst. Chapter 49, let's go. Farah awakes safe and sound in Rhysand's membranous wing cocoon. Gross. Farah asks him why he gave her the tattoo. It's like, well, I wanted to annoy Tamlin, make Amarantha mad, I wanted to protect you, and I couldn't do it in a way that seemed too merciful. She's like, oh, lame answer, dude. The two fly for hours, just looking for a new spot to train. Rhysand says he has one more story to tell Farah, and it sounds like a good one. But she's gonna have to wait because out of nowhere, Ashwood arrows just start bombarding them. Rhysand just bodies them in an attempt to save Farah. He takes a lot to the wings and the legs, and then he kind of throws her to safety. Well, he throws her. Feyre shields herself in wind and lands in a tree, and after a little bit of looking around, she finds one of the ash arrows, also tipped with poison. The worst thing to be tipped in. From a distance, she hears Rhysand roar. She tries calling through the bond, but there's nothing there. And below her, there's just like a bunch of creatures kind of roaming around. Not important though. She feels an ancient focus take over her, and she starts winnowing tree to tree. Ancient focus is actually a great study aid. Feyre uses her transformative powers to shift her eyes into nighttime mode. Now she can see in the dark. She finds an ash arrow, then another. She follows the trail to the crash site, and it looks like Rhysand lost a lot of blood. Good thing Amren's not here. And it seems like he's been dragged away by at least 24 guards. Not looking good. Feyre decides that if these attackers destroy Rhysand, they'll feel her wrath. She follows Rhysand's scent until it hits a fork in the road. What they didn't count on is that Feyre's scent is all over him. She follows the smell of pocket cheese in the right direction. She finds the entrance to a small cave. There's light inside, and she can hear the cracking of a whip. She takes 2 of the ashwood arrows out of her quiver, and she breaks them and binds them together to make a dagger. She would crush on Survivor. She goes unnoticed as she winnows past 2 unmarked high fae female guards. I see someone's been working on their stealth points. Finally, she sees Rhysand. He's chained to the wall with some weird-looking blue chains. He's got 7 arrows in his wings. His body is completely limp, and she can feel the bond now, but he's completely silent on the other side. Feyre winnows to the guards with whips. Very quickly, she slices their throats, slow and deep. Think she kinda liked it. Then it's on. She just goes on a spree. Winnow, slice, winnow, slice. Eventually she gets them all. Did Feyre get really cool? She touches the weird blue chains to get Rhysand down, and she says they feel extremely cold and just all around wrong. Finally, through the bond, she can communicate with Rhys. She says we need to winnow home, but he says he can't. After a couple of tries, Feyre winnows them to a cave she saw earlier that day. She starts removing the arrows and telling Rhysand the story of the painting she made for Nesta and Elaine back at the cottage. She also mentions that she thinks Elaine and Azriel would be a great couple if he could ever get over Morgan. I'm so here for the speculative gossip. The guards also removed the arrows from his legs already. She's got one wing completely arrowless, and Rhys is starting to come back around. He's like, what did you paint for yourself? She says the night sky, and maybe she always knew that she was looking for Rhys and pals. The final arrow comes out, and Rhys begins to clot. Thank the cauldron, she saved him. Rhys says that these attackers were from Highburn. The chains came directly from the king, and they were used to nullify his powers. He's also like, yeah, I think they tracked my magic outfit change yesterday, sorry. Feyre's like, you need to rest, and he's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. But right before he passes out, he says, I was looking for you too. Even on the brink, this guy is still just delivering A+ lines. Prediction time. I predict that these scouts wanted to keep him alive. The King of Highburn wants him on his side, and I think this is a terrible way to go about it. Try gift basket. Feyre mentioned in this chapter that she thought Nesta would love Valeris if she could just get over herself. I predict that Feyre is going to eventually take both of her sisters for a night out on the town. Limousine, Batboy entourage, club until the sun comes up. Elaine's gonna go nuts. I predict and hope that that comment that Feyre made about Azriel and Elaine getting together actually comes true. I don't want to see this dude mope and brood for the rest of eternity, honestly. Chapter 50! Let's go! Feyre watches Rhysand all throughout the night as creatures just roam around the outside of the cave. Morning comes and he's looking kinda pale, he's still out cold, and there's just a little bit of ooze coming out of his wounds. He's been poisoned by his constituents. Feyre has no idea what to do. She's just got a bunch of questions. If only there were some kind of ancient question machine that had all the answers, that lived in the woods and would do anything for the price of a cloak. Oh well. She wraps Rhys up in clothing, grabs her fanciest bait cloak, and heads out to catch herself a cereal. I'm so excited for this reunion. What's that thing been up to all year? It takes Feyre 2 hours, but eventually our clothing-obsessed friend falls into the exact same trap. Cereal's like, Feyre Cursebreaker, the last year's been good to you. This is why we have it back on the show, just so pleasant. Also, Feyre notices how muscular it is now. Massive gains in the last year, just been lifting. But there's no time for catching up. The poison is Bloodbane. The cure is Feyre's blood, seeing as it's riddled with the healing powers of the Dawn Court. And if you'd like to speed things up, add just a little bit of this pink river flower. It's a chewable. The Suriel says that this will cure Feyre's mate. Wow, thanks for all the information, Suriel. Have a great year. I hope I see you soon. I'm sorry, did you just refer to Rhys as my mate? Feyre thinks that the Suriel might be able to escape this time, and it's just kind of testing her honor, so she readies up to free it, but she really can't let that mate comment slide. And it turns out that Feyre and Rhys are mates. You know, the strongest bond 2 people can share that goes above all laws and everything. Yeah, Feyre and Rhysand. The Suriel explains that Rhys has known for a while, and it told Feyre last year, but she misinterpreted the information, so that's kind of on her. Who didn't misinterpret that information? Feyre doesn't understand how. mates are supposed to be equal. Serial explains that yes, Rhysand is the most powerful High Lord in history, but Farah is something different. She's made unique. And honestly, probably super powerful. Thank you, Serial. Farah stomps back real angry. She's gonna heal Rhysand and then welcome him to his new home in the doghouse. Buckle in, buddy, I think you're gonna be here for a while. He's half awake when Farah trudges in, tells him to drink her blood and chew a plant. He's like, what? And she's like, I'm asking the questions here, buddy. It's crazy how I spent the entire last chapter worrying about Rhysand healing. Now I'm like, you'll be fine, dude. Hurry up and heal so I can get this tea. Rhysand figured it out when he saw Amarantha destroy Farah under the mountain, but it was confirmed when he made that crazy shocked look on the balcony. Finally, a payoff for that. I have been losing my mind. He was hoping she would realize it on her own, but he figured she would definitely realize it after he bedded her. Someone's confident. And then he was going to tell her yesterday, right before the attack. Convenient. When Farah said she just wanted fun and distractions, he thought maybe saying that the two were soulmates would be kinda clingy. I think he's right on that one. None of this explanation helps anything. Farah's still mad about the whole keeping secrets even though you specifically promised not to keep any secrets thing. She just says, take me to the camp. And he does. Prediction time. Seeing as the mating bond is sacred to the Fae, I think this may be the only loophole that Farah can use to get Big T off of her back. Honestly, this may work out for him. Now he can go shack up with Ianthe. Gross! I predict that even though taking a moment and thinking this through is a very good idea, Farah's gonna torment Rhys a little bit first. Maybe pinch his wings, stick a finger in his arrow hole. I don't know, just kiss already. I predict, confidently, that Farah's going to forgive Rhysand. I totally get the secret keeping on this one. Honestly, I think she would have been grossed out. Indifference is attractive, and Rhysand knows that. I predict that the Surreal's gonna start coming around once a month just to catch up. No prophetic tellings, no traps in the woods, just two people enjoying coffee, raw chicken, and conversation. Chapter 51, let's go. Rhys winnows Farah to the Illyrian camp. He's kinda weak, so he lands him in a big old sloppy mud puddle. Cassian and Morrigan see this and immediately run to his side, but Farah just stomps on right by him, so Morrigan's like, I gotta go see what's up with her. Farah tells Morrigan to winnow her far away from here. She needs to think. Morrigan's like, I have just the place. My family's old hunting cabin in the mountains. No one will ever be able to find you. The house is protected by wards that only allow family members inside, or people they think are cool. Family members, Farah, Bob Seeger. Morrigan seems pretty confused right now until Farah says that she knows all about the whole mate thing. She also asks Morrigan not to let Rhysand know where she is. She's like, fine. Morrigan says, it's not really my business, but just so you know, Rhysand's never been as happy as when he's with you. And I've known him for like 1,000 years. Shouldn't say the last part, but you get it. Farah acknowledges that, kind of. But then she dismisses Morrigan so that she can finally have some time alone to think. What is to think about? I admit, he probably shouldn't have kept this secret, but you just dumped his poisoned body in the mud and left him in a camp full of very judgy warriors. I think maybe we can call this one. Before Morrigan goes, she tells Farah that the house is enchanted and will basically give her anything she needs if she asks. Just like the Disney Channel original movie Smart House, except hopefully this one won't become self-aware and try to take things over. And with that, Morrigan says she'll return in 3 days to check on her, and poof, she out. Prediction time. Farah will be able to get a good night's sleep. No nightmares, no unexpected Fae holidays, no High Lords getting handsy. Just her and her own thoughts in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. Oh wait, her thoughts are the problem, aren't they? Okay, never mind. She's definitely not getting any sleep. I think that Rhysand's definitely back at camp just getting gassed up by his boys right now. Dude, you did nothing wrong. She just needs time. Let's just play some Smash. Are you texting her right now? I predict that one of two things is gonna happen when Big T finds out. One, he's gonna have to rebuild another study. Two, we're gonna learn that there's some kind of magic law that prevents somebody from interfering with two mates. I predict we'll learn that Farah is suffering from magic madness. She's got a bunch inside of her and she's barely let any of it out. This is the only theory I have that makes me feel okay about how she treated Lucien and Morrigan. If she ever comes for Alice, I will find a way to get inside this book and sign her up for an anger management class myself. Chapter 52 and 53. Let's go! The magic bathtub fills up for Farah without her even asking it to. She doesn't care how, she's just happy it works. That's exactly how I feel about my bathtub. I don't know plumbing. She puts on fleece-lined leggings, knee-high socks, and a big old sweater and grabs herself a bowl of soup. And now she's ready to unpack and analyze all those emotions. She speculates that being Rhysand's mate might be the only way to justify the way she ended things with Big T. It's her get-out-of-jail-free card. She's still not super happy about the whole keeping secrets thing, but she's starting to come around, and she likes the sound of being Rhysand's mate. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? She remembers telling Rhysand that he's the only thing she would never run away from. I think she told him that right before running away from his cold, injured, muddy body. By midday, Farah is so bored, so she does what anyone does when they're bored at an Airbnb. She snoops. She finds daggers and blades everywhere, but she also finds a paint set. Farah paints all day, most of the night, and then she goes to sleep and starts painting again when she wakes up. Finally, she needed this so bad. I assume she was painting on a canvas, but when Moore shows up, she finds out that Farah's painted on all the walls, every inch of this cabin. Okay, she just lost her privileges, right? She mainly painted nature, but she threw in some bits and pieces of the inner circle. Got some Illyrian wings over the fireplace, and Amren's eyes over the doorway. Haunting. Morgan likes it. She's like, why don't you add my eyes up there too, so that the boys can always know we're watching them. Haunting. Morgan says no word from Nesta or Elaine yet, and Reese is healing just fine. Also, for what it's worth, make him sweat a little bit longer, but I would hear him out. He might have some good points. And then Farah asks about Morgan and Asriel. Morgan has sworn off Rhysand's friends, and it sounds like Asriel has secret lady friends anyways, but she said it wouldn't matter even if he was interested, because he always sees himself as an unworthy little bat boy. Can this guy just cheer up a little bit? Farah presses the issue, and Morgan kind of dodges it entirely, but she does say to paint Asriel's eyes next to hers. Okay, baby steps. Okay, I get the whole Morgan and Asriel thing, but I still want him with Elaine at this point. They have a great contrast between them, and the idea of him having to sit outside a Forever 21 dressing room while she tries on dresses is just hilarious to me. Morgan asks Farah if she really thinks it would be that bad to be Rhysand's mate, to be a part of this family. Farah says no, and I think she just realized what she's gonna do. Chapter 53, let's go! Morgan had a little slumber party and helped Farah paint. She's not really as good, but she has shapes down, kind of. She drew the Bat Boys as stick figures, but she did seem to capture their sense of dumb boy pride. Morgan leaves in the morning, giving Farah time to think about her future. Summers with Reese at the cottage, opening a paint shop in Valeris, going to Chili's for half-off apps with the Bat Boys. She's into it. Farah realizes that she would fight to the end to attain and protect this lifestyle. 5 days Farah's been at the cottage. There's paint everywhere. She's ready to go home. Someone bangs at the door. She's like, oh, did Morgan forget her phone again? So silly. She opens it, and it's not her. Prediction time. I predict it's Rhysand at the door. At first I was freaking out thinking it was Tamlin showing up to destroy a cottage, but then I remember that only family and friends can get to this cottage, not mortal enemies. I predict that Rhysand and Farah are in for a long chapter of talking, and ultimately they're gonna decide to go with a mate bond, and then it's on. This cottage may still be destroyed, but in a spicy, passionate way, not an angry temper tantrum way. I think that Farah has absolutely no respect for anyone else's belongings. Okay, Morgan liked the paintings, but you just strolled into a house you don't live in and painted all over their walls? My mom would have cracked me with a wooden spoon. It's an Italian form of discipline. Effective, but I can't make pasta sauce without flinching. I predict that if things go the way I think they're about to go, all the hype about chapter 55 is spice related. I mean, we've only got like 8 chapters left. If these two go into the next book with all this tension, nothing is getting done. Chapter 54, let's go! Farah opens the door to see Rhysand. She stares at him. He stares at her. Girl, let him inside right now. Farah offers to cook him up a bowl of soup. Well, heat him up a bowl of soup. It's kinda lame, but good thing this meal isn't ceremonious in any way. Turns out, the female offering the male food for the first time means that she's accepted the bond. Oh, so it's very ceremonious. Farah says she doesn't understand the rules, so Rhysand has to explain them all to her right now. She'll cook, and at the end of the story, decide if she wants to give him the meal. This is the most important soup of your life, Rhysand. Make it count. 500 years ago. Oh, we're going way back. Rhysand was captured by Amarantha's armies. They tormented him, put ash bolts through both of his wings, and tried to get him to spill the beans. He never did. Amarantha was so obsessed with Jurian at this point that she was kinda just distracted. Rhys concocted a plan to take her out, but the day he was set to make his move, she met Jurian on the battlefield. She destroyed him, plucked his eyeball and finger off right there, and tormented him for days. She was so distracted with all of that she didn't even notice Rhysand's dad showing up to liberate everybody. Rhysand's dad was so disappointed with him that he decided to leave the bolts in his wings as punishment. I thought a simple timeout would have sufficed. As Rhysand healed, the treaty was crafted, leaving Amarantha and the King of Highburn completely unpunished. When Amarantha returned years later, she didn't even remember Rhysand. Sick burn. But Tamlin's distrust of her led Rhys to believe that she hadn't changed. He concocted a plan. Go to her alliance ball under the mountain, get inside her mind, get her to confess all of her crimes, and then destroy her. What he didn't see coming was that she had mental shields. He was so distracted trying to get in there that he forgot to sniff his drink. As his power rapidly transferred to Amarantha, he used the last of it to erase Valeris from the minds of those from the Court of Nightmares, lock the inner circle in the city to protect it, and communicate to them what happened down here. it got wild. Amarantha destroyed half the Court of Nightmares in front of Rhysand that night because she was feeling vengeful, but she was also feeling frisky. Rhysand saw it in. He faked it so good that she thought that he liked it. Her real downfall was thirst. Over time, she eventually began to trust him. At this point, Farrah's just kind of stirring the soup with her jaw on the floor. 3 years ago, Rhys began having dreams. Foggy, but from the point of view of a woman. He saw the inside of a cottage. It's Farrah. A rabbit hutch. It's Farrah. And the dainty little hands of a painter. So this is when I started freaking out. 1 year ago, he had a much clearer dream. The same stranger was having her throat sliced by Amarantha. Rhysand was the dark shadow in that dream. Given how vivid this dream was, he knew that she was now past the wall and into Prythian, but he couldn't locate her until the night she dreamed of Kalanme. Rhys played on Amarantha's paranoia. He said he would bring back any traitors. Rhysand was the mysterious pull that got Farrah to sneak out of the manor. I've been looking for you. Thank you for finding her for me. Oh my god. Okay, even recapping this right now is re-breaking my brain. Rhysand reshaped the entire backstory of those pics, deleted their save files, and presented them to Amarantha as traitors. She destroyed them, but they kinda had it coming. Rhys didn't know that Farrah was with Tamlin until he returned that day to the manor. He smelled the glamour, saw the extra plate on the table, and picked up the faint scent of pocket cheese and knew she was there. He was angry and jealous, but he realized that he had to scare Tamlin so bad that he would send her home. It worked. Rhys absolutely hated himself and went and threw up after this. Not realizing that Claire Better was a real name, because why would it be? He gave it to Amarantha and she took her in. When Claire showed up under the mountain, Rhys used his mind powers to make sure she felt no pain. But after a couple days of torment, he felt so bad, he showed her mercy. It's a little better, I guess. He thought this was all behind them until the day Farrah showed up under the mountain and struck the deal with Amarantha. After learning her name, he got new hope. He decided he was going to fight dirty. Everything he did down there had a purpose. It's all coming together. He knew that Farrah was his mate the moment he saw her destroyed by Amarantha. That shocked look on the balcony was him realizing that the mating bond had been locked in permanently. What? Rhys planned to leave her alone. She earned her happiness. Until he heard her freak out on the wedding day, and when Tamlin locked her up, he lost it big time. He was ready to fistfight Big T. At this point, the soup's probably burnt, but Farrah ladles a bowl for Rhys and brings it over to him. So you love me? He nods. Eat then. Prediction time. I predict that after a confession like this, there's only one thing to do next. Chapter 55 is about to be page-to-page steam. None of the tables or walls in that cottage are safe. I predict that Tamlin has no choice but to be real cool about this. Potentially peace between the courts after a hissy fit. I predict that Rhys and Farrah are going to have a very powerful baby. Luckily, Edna Mode can babysit Jack. I predict that me still processing all of this information is going to make switching gears to Chapter 55 very difficult. Probably not though. Chapter 55. Let's go. Rhys eats every bite of that soup in front of Farrah. Pretty sure he makes eye contact the entire time. That image will haunt me forever. And it must have been some pretty good soup because this entire chapter is him complimenting the chef. Farrah says that she decided she loved Rhysand the minute she saw him on that threshold. She sits on his lap and says that every piece of her heart belongs to him. Then she kisses his tears away. She doesn't lick him, that's a big distinction. The two kiss, and then it's on. Rhysand throws Farrah on the table, they get paint all over the place. They certainly give finger painting a new meaning. After a quick dessert, they move this party to the bedroom, and the no pants dance continues. Farrah starts touching Rhys's wings, which is a first for him, and they are sensitive. The first time only takes up about a page. Pretty quick, but it must have been good because Rhys roars so loud he causes an avalanche. The town at the bottom of the mountain must just freak out when they hear him coming. Rhysand says he knew he loved Farrah the moment she threw that bone at Amarantha. He was reminded of Cassian. Okay, please elaborate on that. He heard Cassian's voice saying, "If you don't marry her, I will." That's better. These two are just covered in paint, so the tub will be the arena for round 2. The tub's already filling with water when they enter the room, which begs the question, has this house just been watching everything the entire time? Ugh. We get some descriptions of Rhys that I definitely can't say, but we find out that the whole "you know what they say about guys with big wings" thing is true. Farrah knew that she loved Rhysand at Starfall, but given the whole Tamlin anxiety, she didn't want to admit it to herself. That guy is just ruining everything. She doesn't care about the consequences though. Rhysand's worth every assassin in the world coming at him. Careful what you wish for, girl. Dude has a lot of enemies. She asks Rhysand what he'll call her going forward. He likes mate, but he says wife sounds good too. They have some options. Get a high priestess to verify their bond, get married, or just kind of have a relaxed thing where they both just live their lives knowing they belong with each other. How refreshing. I like that one. Tomorrow they'll return to the mortal realm. Sounds like the dusty queens have finally gotten word back. What could they possibly be doing? Just sitting around playing cards? Okay, ladies, queens are wild. Yeah, that joke wasn't funny 20 years ago. Please stop saying it. Farah has literally begun to glow. That's a big achievement for Rhysand. He unglams himself, and darkness is just dripping off this dude, amongst other things. They get spicy again, and let's just say Rhys can be a handful. Rhysand ends things on a position that Farah knows Amarantha made him do, and finally his palate has been cleansed. It's time to heal. These two only get like an hour of sleep all night, but they still have time for a morning workout. Rhys explains it's normal to be this intense, but sometimes males get so volatile they can't even go out in public. Sorry sir, you've been banished to the woods for a month on charges of thirst. Rhys said that he would love to become Farah's baby mama. She's not currently on the tonic, but given the impending threat headed their way, she's gonna take one when she goes home. She loves the idea of having children with Rhysand, but she wants to live first, go on adventures, enjoy immortality for a while, finally make it around to going to Dollywood. And naturally, this conversation leads to yet another splish splash in the bath. Prediction time. I predict that this chapter has been ripped out of every copy of this book that exists in a library. They should probably just stop renting it out. I think that even with their high fae bodies, these two must just be exhausted. The house has definitely depleted its entire stock of magic Pedialyte on them. I predict that when these two show back up at the camp with messed up hair and backward shirts on, Cassian's gonna have so many little comments to make. Looks like someone had a good time. Wait, you guys didn't touch my bed, did you? Guys, chapter 56, let's go. Rhys winnows the newly mated couple back to the Illyrian camp. If ever there's a place to cool things off. Winnowing was a non-issue on this trip. They're not going to be here for very long. Also, they're surrounded by 10,000 Illyrian warriors. Have to be pretty silly to make an attack right now. Cassian's the first person they see, and boy is he sassy as ever. He immediately makes a comment about the mating bond to Rhys, to which he replies, with a roar so loud it scares all the Illyrian warriors and they start grabbing women and children and taking to the skies. Okay, everybody chill. Cassian makes another little comment. Oh, post-mating bond chafe, Rhysand? Okay, that one's hilarious. Rhys doesn't think so though. One more crack, this time involving Farah, and Rhys loses it. He jumps on Cassian and just starts bombarding him with punches. Just fists and blood everywhere. This is the mud wrestling. Cassian saw that Rhys was volatile, and he did this all on purpose. Rhysand knew too, which is why he took him here instead of Valeris. Just a couple boys blowing off steam. Morrigan rolls up and she's like, this is gonna take a while. Welcome to the family, by the way. Farah loves that. After an hour, the two are finally done fighting, and now Rhysand needs a different kind of release. Him and Farah are very loud about it. I think the Illyrian warriors are probably still just flying around the sky, just not wanting to get into this uncomfortable situation. I've had roommates, I get it. After this little romp, they all go back to Valeris. The inner circle is waiting in the dining room as Rhys and Farah enter holding hands. They stand, bow, and vow to protect and serve. Farah's like, yeah, that's all good, but can we just be like friends? Morgan's like, sure, but we're gonna do the other things too. Amren compliments Farah for saving Rhys from all those bad highburn guards and using her sweet transformation powers, and Moore takes this opportunity to make fun of how baby Rhysand got himself in quite the pickle. Farah even jumps in and she's like, he does need a lot of coddling, doesn't he? And Asriel shows the first emotion other than just brooding I've ever seen him do, and does a spit take. Someone's in a good mood tonight. This is going to be a great group going forward, I can already tell. Good vibes only. And after family dinner, they all head out to the mortal realm. Orb in hand, ready to meet some dusty, ungrateful queens. Prediction time. I predict that Elaine's going to be very excited that Farah has a new love. Nesta's probably just going to be indifferent. Honestly, I think she's just kind of doing her own thing most of the time. I predict that the queens are still not ready to do the right thing. Without a little nudge in the right direction, please just show them a picture of the Ator, or the Bog, or the Surreal. I just want to see them justifiably scared. I predict that the Illyrians that fled to the sky are still up there to this very day. The roar was scary, but nobody wants to hear their High Lord getting down all over the place. Makes things awkward. I predict that we are way overdue for a big T resolution here, and we only have a couple chapters left. I really need to see how this plays out before the book is over. I would accept a full chapter of just talking at this point. What's he been up to? Does Alice still have her job? Is Lucian finally off timeout? I don't care what's new with Ianthe. Chapter 57. Let's go. Only 2 queens show up this time, Goldie and the Crone, and a couple of guards. The others didn't show because they considered Nesta's insult last time unforgivable. I so desperately desperately want her to like me. Farrah's like, if that's the worst insult you guys have ever heard, you're gonna be pretty surprised when the battle arrives. Get him, girl. Reese and Farrah are holding hands in front of everybody, and Goldie's like, I see he won your heart, curse breaker. Oh, she's taking a genuine interest. Then she rips off like 6 insults directly at Farrah, basically telling her she's only a little bit better than the children of the blessed. After like the 10th rapid fire insult, Reese steps in and he's like, is there a point to this, or do you just like to hear yourself talk? Believe it or not, this is going way worse than last time. The crone, such a great name for her, points at the box they brought and she's like, is that the proof? Farrah brings up a couple of things that should be proof enough, including that Elaine is wearing an iron engagement ring and still chose to help them. The Gold Queen is like, yeah, that's proof. Proof that she doesn't have too much going on up here. Don't insult Elaine, you're gonna set off Nesta. Ah, too late. Nesta says, don't judge what you know absolutely nothing about. Morrigan gives a quick speech about how she's about to drop some sick truth in their laps. The orb glows as gray mist pours onto the floor. The guards get a little spooked. The image of Valeris appears through a Rhysand's eye view. Somehow the orb is able to convey happiness, love, goodness, just the overall chill vibes of Valeris. When the vision concludes, the queens are clearly a little flustered. Rhys explains that his bad boy reputation is really just a front to keep people from invading the Night Court. There's no way they can deny the book now, right? Wrong. The crone says that they appreciate their trust, but they're gonna go back and talk to the other queens and they'll get back whenever they can. Everyone's just kind of in awe at this statement. Rhysand's like, do you guys understand the risk involved right now with taking your time? The crone is like, did you really think your letter was that moving? And then she brings out the letter. Summed up, Rhys says he's not writing as a High Lord. He's writing as a fae that fell in love with a formerly human woman. He also wrote this like weeks before he told Farrah that he loved her. Aww. Then the crone suggests that maybe Rhys just got into their mind and manipulated them into thinking that this was the truth. Nesta is once again outraged. She says that these are the rantings of a mad woman. When the queen doesn't flinch, Nesta starts to plead with them. The queen says maybe an evacuation is possible. But Nesta's crunched the numbers and she knows it isn't. She says please, like 3 times, and then she sheds a tear. Wow, you guys got to Nesta? Cassian comes to her side. He says he would defend this manor to his very end, and he wipes a tear away from Nesta, and she doesn't even flinch. Not flinching at physical touch is Nesta's love language. The queens just winnow away, but where the Gold Queen is sitting is now a box. She smuggled it in somewhere, and it's the second part of the book with a note. Farrah says that while the first book felt like law and order, this one feels like pure chaos, kind of a crazy cousin to the other book. The note is from the Gold Queen. It says she believes Rhys, believes in peace, not to trust the other queens, and the 6th one was not sick. Called it. Rhys then invites Nesta and Elaine to come back to Valeris. Elaine can't do it. Rhys is like, okay, well, you guys are always welcome here. I'll leave a dude in this room every day at noon in case you change your mind. And Nesta looks at Farrah and says, this is why you painted the stars on your dresser. Prediction time. I think that the queens are plotting something real sinister. There's no way they're just this dumb and vain. Well, maybe. But the 6th one not being there really worries me. I predict that Farrah's dad is going to return to a pile of rubble, and then he's going to ground Nesta and Elaine for having people over. He asked them not to. I predict that the butterflies Cassian just gave Nesta has opened the door to my next favorite romance. Between Nesta's iron will and Cassian's untamed power, those babies would be kicked out of every daycare on either side of the wall. Chapter 58. Let's go! The inner circle now suspects the queens of foul play. Well, good thing they don't know about Valeris. Oh, wait a minute. Rhys and Morrigan are checking on the Court of Nightmares. Amren's decoding the book, and Azriel's doing Azriel stuff. Cassian and Farrah hit the town. They catch a show, do some shopping, drop off some blood for Amren. Farrah thinks to herself at one point she wouldn't mind seeing that Gold Queen again. Careful what you wish for. They're on their way to the Palace of Thread and Jewels to get thank you gifts for Nesta and Elaine. The two stop on a bridge. Farrah says she can feel the water below, and she takes this opportunity to thank Cassian for his kindness to Nesta. He's like, yeah, whatever, I would have done it for anyone. Farrah jokingly thinks she's gonna push him into the water, but then she senses an unnatural tremor coming from it. Cassian felt it too. He's so worried he armors up Iron Man nanotech style. On the horizon, the Highburn army flies towards Valeris. Cassian tells Farrah to go to the townhouse. No chance, buddy. She's gonna stick here and defend her people. Arrows begin raining on the city. The warriors all look like the ACOTAR, but they're wearing blue gauntlets made of magic-canceling stone. Uh-oh. Farrah is underneath Cassian's wings and the shield that he created, but it's rapidly being broken when a body falls out of the sky and lands next to them. Farrah recognizes it as the Golden Queen. I hated this part. Shortly behind, the ACOTAR pops up, and he says, regards from Jurian and the Mortal Queens. Traitors! Okay, they just took the top spot of characters I hate. over Mrs. Laurent. The Ator takes to the skies. Cassian tells Feyre to go back to the townhouse before he takes off after him. Feyre has just minutes to get to the townhouse. Her plan is to get as many people inside as she can, but then she hears a woman scream off in the distance, and her sense of heroism kicks in. Asriel has now joined Cassian in the skies. They're just leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. This part was pretty cool. It's raining gauntlets and hands as Asriel and Cassian just slice them off of all the enemies. And at this point, Feyre realizes that this isn't just an invasion, it's an extinction. Amren joins them now. You guys are all in big trouble. Wherever she points, enemies just fall out of the sky with no visible injuries. I don't know what her power is, but I'm so happy we finally get to see it. Feyre sees the Ator at the edge of the rainbow, a weak spot of Valeris. No doubt those traitorous queens told him about it. Feyre winnows to the edge of the rainbow and just starts mowing down soldiers. Winnow, slice, winnow, slice. The scream Feyre heard came from a shop owner that managed to get some people inside her shop safely and is now defending them against enemies with a pipe. 3 soldiers spot Feyre. They chase her, but they aren't quick enough to beat her to the Sidra. She wills it to rise. Wolves made of water start rushing the soldiers, with Feyre leading the pack. She takes out all of the enemies that were attacking the shop owner. The shop owner's just like, cool. Feyre now has them on the run. Some of them take to the skies, so her wolves turn into eagles and douse the enemies. They kinda just laugh at this, until Feyre freezes the water and they fall to the ground and shatter. I do not envy the street sweepers tomorrow. Feyre sees the Ator escaping back to Highburn. She's not gonna let this slide. She chases after him. Finally, through the bond, Rhys says, "Where are you?" like 5 times, and she says exactly where I need to be before closing the bond to him. She grabs 2 poison-tipped ash arrows off of the ground and winnows to stop the Ator. Prediction time. I predict that the Queen's ability to winnow came from the Highburn King. These traitors will suffer for this. Honestly, I'm pretty excited to see it right now. I predict that Rhysand will handle being shut out by Feyre way better than Tamlin would have. He'll probably be proud, assuming this all goes well. I predict that we've only seen a sliver of Amren's power, and I cannot wait to see her do more of this point and end thing. I predict that Feyre is about to go scorched earth on the Ator. This dude's made it through almost 2 books now, and I can't see him being in a 3rd. I'm so sick of this guy. Chapter 59 and 60. Let's go. Feyre just winnowed to a nearby roof in pursuit of the Ator. He's flying like right above her. Rhysand's still just tapping on that mental shield, but Feyre needs to focus. On the horizon, she can see his darkness approaching, and it is just swallowing up Highburn soldiers. Feyre moves quickly. She winnows on top of the Ator and stabs 2 ash arrows right in his wings. She wraps herself around him and engulfs in flames. Scorched earth. Called it. She puts a dagger to its ribs and says, "This one's for Rhysand," and she plunges it in. The Ator's just cursing and begging Feyre to let go, but she's having way too much fun. She plunges another one in, and this time she twists it a little bit. That one's for Claire. She puts 1 more in him. That's a nice little treat for herself. The ground's getting pretty close, so she says, "I'll see you in heck," and winnows away. She's going so fast that when she reappears, she kind of flies into a building just in time to hear the splat and crunch of old Addie hitting the ground. She goes to make sure he's really gone, and I wouldn't say she finds remains, more of bits. Doesn't look like he's coming back. Rhys finally appears by her side. He lifts her chin and gives her a kiss, and he gives her a cool new nickname, Feyre Cursebreaker, the Defender of the Rainbow. Okay, it sounded very cool when I read it, but now it just reminds me of Lucky Charms. Feyre hugs Rhys, and he hugs her right back. Chapter 60. Let's go. Valeris is secure, and the wards have been rebuilt and strengthened. It's 3 a.m. Aside from the battle, the rebuilding and helping the wounded efforts have really tuckered out the group. Everybody's looking pretty tired, and Amren looks like she needs some sustenance. It's blood. And since everyone's kinda already got open wounds, Asriel seems a bit worried. Rhys explains that Amren went into the soldiers' minds, made them think they were drowning, and they kinda just fell out of the sky. Some of the more evil ones she actually made see all of their worst nightmares come true until their hearts stopped, and a couple of them she just made vanish. I don't know where, but all of those are equally horrific. Amren will stay back and defend Valeris when the group goes to Highburn, but now she says they should eat and sleep. Asriel adds in, "and retaliate." Rhysand's up on the roof brooding. He feels pretty guilty about giving the queens the info they needed. Feyre apologizes for blocking him out, but he says she should be proud. She defended his people, and he doesn't feel he deserves her. And the next day, Amren has finally cracked the code of the books. Perfect timing. Not good news, though. Feyre has to touch the cauldron to speak the spell, and the main rule is do not cross the streams. I'm sorry, do not combine the 2 parts of the book. She says it will cause a bang across the entire Earth that will unleash and awaken ancient creatures that should definitely remain sleeping. Okay, just the one rule seems pretty clear. Don't do that. The plan is to get in, nullify the cauldron, and get out. Sounds easy, right? Rhysand can't go inside, because they can track him, and as much as he hates it, he's gonna have to leave Feyre alone on this one. Says it's her call, and she says let's go to Highburn. That night, Feyre and Rhys figure out the whole bedroom situation. They're gonna go with his. And we learn that the ring that came from the Weaver is actually Rhys's engagement ring for Feyre. Apparently his mom left it with the Weaver, saying that any of Rhysand's future mates needed to go and retrieve it. If they could survive that, they could survive a marriage with him. I'm sure she said it nicer. Feyre says that when she gets back, she wants the bond verified, a wedding, and a big old bash with everybody in Valeris. Rhys is into it, and they have a nice little pre-mission romp. Prediction time. I predict that Feyre is definitely about to combine both parts of that book. She was given a firm warning with dire consequences, so why not do the exact opposite? I predict that Highburn is about to be a real dirt hole. It's just a single dude living there right now, just a recliner in front of a TV with a bunch of frozen dinner wrappers all over the place. Total male living space. Chapter 61 to 63. Let's go. Feyre is armed up and covered head to toe in blades. She's got a half of the book in each one of her pockets. Still a little too close for comfort in my opinion. The book says, "Hello, lovely liar." These two in her ear are gonna be fun the entire time. Amren says the cauldron is way more powerful than the book. So if any of this doesn't work, run. Cassian and Azriel vow to protect Feyre, and Morrigan has secret orders of her own. The group flies to Highburn, and Feyre's kinda grossed out that it's all just looking like it's made of bone, just dusty and crumbling. They're greeted by Morrigan at the lower sea door, closest to the cauldron. Azriel's already got a blood-covered blade, and he says they're ready to go. The book says, "Take me home." Big Eddie Money fan? They're sneaking around, taking out guards, dungeon stuff. Feyre realizes that Morrigan being the last line of defense means that her orders are probably to get Feyre out at any cost if things go south. They clear the dungeon and arrive at the cauldron. Seems easy. Too easy. Chapter 62. Feyre says the cauldron feels like absence and presence. Darkness, but not the good kind. It's the size of a bathtub, so good luck getting it out. Maybe if we lift and twist it, we can get it through the door. Inside it swirls black, inky liquid, and the energy pulsates like a burrito about to pop in a microwave. Like calls to like. Yeah, this is going way too well. Something's about to happen. She places one hand on the cauldron, another on the book half. She becomes a conduit as she's overwhelmed with power. The book says to combine the parts. Feyre starts to, and Morgan's like, don't do that, but she does it anyways. You had one rule! Energy is just flowing through Feyre. Morgan's like, please stop. Cassian's like, let her cook. Azriel pulls Feyre off the cauldron and kind of shakes her out of her trance. She sees that her nose started bleeding, and what could be so important to interrupt this? Oh, Jurian's here. Chapter 63. Rhys appears next to Feyre and tucks the book parts into his jacket. She failed. Well, there's always next season. I'll tell you what, we can still go to Pizza Hut. Rhys says, Jurian looks great. And it sounds like Jurian remembers everything from the last 500 years. He knows Miriam's alive, and he wants to know where she is. No. Morgan says that her and Drakon mated the night he took out Clythia, and Miriam never looked back. Sick burn. Feyre puts her hand on the cauldron and tries to winnow away with it, but it looks like all their powers have been cut. Even the bond with Rhys. Uh-oh. Jurian just starts rambling about his time as an eyeball. This dude's clearly lost it. Rhys is like, okay, good seeing you. We're just gonna leave now. And he's about to turn and escape, but the Highburn King is standing there. He seems pretty bummed they fell into this obvious trap. Jurian then fires an ash bolt directly through Azriel's chest. Dude, so not cool. The arrow is tipped with bloodbane. Of course it is. This guy's so one note. And the Highburn King says he can will it further into Azriel's blood if he so chooses. The group has no choice but to follow him around listening to a monologue. Classic villain nonsense. They go to yet another throne room. Feyre's pretty grossed out by his bone throne. And as I predicted, no decorations, no furniture, total male living space. The door shut behind them, and then the king says to someone, I've upheld my end of the bargain, now it's your turn. And my nightmare turns to reality as Tamlin and Lucian step forward. Prediction time. I predict that there's no way we're about to lose Azriel right now. He's way too important, but really, he still needs to find love. I can't see him go out this way. I predict that Tamlin has obviously lost his mind. For one, he sided with someone who is visibly evil, and two, he dragged Lucien into this? Poor little sweet old Lucien into this? You've changed, man. I predict that there will be no reasoning with Tamlin right now. Again, he's already lost it. Trying to talk to Crazy is not an option. I predict that even though the group is in quite the pickle, they're gonna make it out of this. The only spoiler I know is that there's many books to come. Feyre's still wielding her protagonist armor, and I think at this point it probably covers the entire inner circle. Chapter 64 through 67. Let's go. Tamlin's gonna let the Highburn King infiltrate through the Spring Court and then use it as a base, all in return for Feyre. Bro. Oh, also, part of the deal is that Feyre now has to work for the Highburn King, and he's going to break the bond she has with Rhysand. Bro. Tamlin reaches for Feyre, and she's like, no. Tamlin's just going on about why he did the things he did, and Feyre's kinda nodding along. But really, she's soothing the curse to let them free. It works. Tamlin goes to reach for Feyre again, but this time she winnows away, and he trips that pretty little High Lord face right into Rhysand's fist. The guards enter with a cauldron, and it's speaking to Feyre. End him. You're gonna have to be more specific. There's a lot of people in here we don't like. Feyre gets ready to unleash what will surely be a devastating wrath when— oh, nope, the curse is back. The four remaining queens, only four, enter the room as Nesta and Elaine are dragged in by the guards. The Highburn King brought Jurian, hero to humankind, back as a gesture of good faith to the queens. Also, he's gonna give them eternal youth. He warns that only the strong-willed can make it through this transformation, so he's gonna use Nesta and Elaine to prove it works. Apparently, Ianthe sold them out. Even the queens wouldn't stoop that low. Still hate them. Feyre threatens the Highburn King again, but this time he unleashes a brutal blast of power. It shreds Cassian's wings. Tamlin goes for Feyre again, but our girl throws a dagger at him. She misses. I think the mating bond is becoming evident to him. Tamlin and Lucien are now pleading the king to stop this, but instead, he leashes them like little doggies. They bring Elaine to the cauldron, drop her in, add some seasonings, wait a couple minutes, then they dump it. Elaine is now a high fae, and Lucien runs over and gives her his jacket. She doesn't seem to like it. Nesta's fighting the entire way. She points at the High King before going under, a silent promise to end him. He actually does seem kind of worried about that. He should. Nesta emerges a high fae, but somehow different than Elaine, almost as if the cauldron gave more power than it really wanted to. Nesta wastes no time. She runs over to Elaine's side, pushes Lucien out of the way, and starts holding her. But Elaine's looking at Lucien as he says, "She's my mate." What? Feyre's willing to ignore that mate comment, but Nesta's not. She's like, she is no such thing. Rhysand tells the king to make a deal with him, but Feyre's over-dealing with this guy. Unbeknownst to everybody else, she's been working on her own plan. Feyre erupts with white light. It shatters all the wards and breaks the curse. Curse breaker. After this display, she pretends not to know what just happened and runs over to Tamlin. She says, please, please don't let him take me away again. Then she turns to the king and says, please, please break this bond with that bad, bad man. The inner circle all seems to know what's going down here, and they're playing along. Tamlin's so confident, he starts making victory threats to Rhysand. He totally bought it. Feyre and Rhys crumple to the floor as the bond is shattered. The Highburn King says everybody's free to go. The bond has been severed. Asriel's poison is gone. Feyre's tattoo is gone. Cassian's wings, yikes. Oregon winnows next to Lucien, pushes him out of the way. Lucien is just getting pushed around today. Grabs Feyre's sisters and winnows out. Lucien's freaking out about the sister thing more than Feyre is, and I think he's starting to get a little sus. The Highburn King asks Feyre where the Book of Breathing is. She had it last. She's like, I don't know, your problem now, buddy. He says, fine, well, when the book is returned, Tamlin's expected back here. Feyre threatens him one more time and they all winnow out. Prediction time. I predict that Elaine is not going to be into being Lucien's mate at first. I mean, their How We Met story is going to be pretty awkward to tell, but now she can't go home, she doesn't have a lot of options. I predict that the queens will become immortal. This is just going to make their destruction that much sweeter and slower. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I hate them. I predict that not all the queens are going to make it through the transformation. We probably won't lose the crone, but definitely one of those twins. I predict that Lucien just developed something that might actually break his loyalty to Tamlin. Now that him and Feyre have a vested interest in saving Elaine, they might just start treating Tamlin like some crazy dude they live with, but working on their own thing. Chapter 68 and 69. Let's go! Rhysand slams to the floor of the townhouse, and Amren immediately runs to Cassian's wings and starts tending to them. She can help, but he's gonna need a healer. She asks where Feyre is, but Rhys just throws her the Book of Breathing and says, you gotta get this thing out of here. Morrigan arrives moments later after safely getting Elaine and Nesta out of there, and she tells the whole whole story to Amryn. Amryn's like, yeah, the Hybern King is kinda silly. There's no way to break that bond. Oh, thank the cauldron. She runs over to Asriel, rips the bolt out of his chest, and it starts healing. Amryn really wants to get Farah out of the spring court. Rhysand disagrees. He says she made a sacrifice for her court. And now he's got a spy over there that can tell him everything Big T's up to. They're about to know the Hybern King's every move. Amryn says that Farah's his mate, not his spy. But Rhysand's got one more trick up his sleeve. Last night, Rhysand and Farah snuck off to have their bond sworn in by a high priestess. Farah now has a second tattoo, and she's the High Lady of the Night Court. Tamlin said High Lady wasn't a thing, but it seems like Rhys just made it up. Could Tamlin have done that too? Yes, their bond is buried very deep, but Rhys sends some love through and feels Farah send it back. He plans to tear the Spring Court, Ianthe, and the Hybern King to shreds. Right now, they gotta prepare. Chapter 69. Farah arrives back in the Spring Court. And she is playing her part. She felt the love that Rhys sent and sent her own back. As she's buttering up Tamlin, Lucien interrupts them. He knows. Tamlin growls at Lucien and asks Farah if Rhysand hurt her. She's like, I can't remember that well. Good, play that angle. She keeps sweet-talking Tamlin. She's like, oh my goodness, you saved me, my hero. He's like, oh, you actually saved yourself. But I'll take the compliment. Tamlin has to find Ianthe and give her a firm talking to. He tells Farah to go rest up. And he's back, ladies and gentlemen. No, Farah wants to be a part of things now. She wants to help. Help destroy his court and everyone in it. Tamlin says they can start over. He's sorry, and he was wrong about everything. Buddy, you have no idea. She lies and says, it doesn't matter. I'm home now. Forever. She might want to stop painting and start acting because she's pretty good at this. But not good enough for Lucien. He knows. Farah's got her new ink glammed up. Lucien's staying quiet to get back Elaine. And a new game of secrets begins at the Spring Court. The book concludes as Tamlin walks the High Lady of the Night Court into his manor. Prediction time. I am going to have an entire video of just predictions before I read the next book, but until then, I predict that whatever Tamlin is about to say to Ianthe is not going to be even close to enough. She's about to get a slap on the wrist at best. I predict that Lucien and Farah are going to have to actively work together to get around Tamlin. Lucien's gonna hate it at first, but he seems like the kind of person that just stops hanging out with all of his friends as soon as he gets into a relationship, so it's whatever. I predict that Tamlin's about to get a redemption arc. Yes, he just became one of the main villains, but I still feel like there's some good in there. Misguided, but good. And Farah may change her whole destroy your court and everyone in it attitude when he starts making an effort. Obviously, I'm still Team Rhysand. I don't want them to get back together. But wouldn't it be great if everybody got along? I predict that Cassian's wings are going to grow back double the size they were. And he's going to be the talk of the town. You know what they say about an Illyrian with big wings? He can't get on the subway. I predict that Alice is working undercover for the summer court. And Farah is in trouble. She's going to wake up to a bunch of jaguars in her bed. The signature of Alice, silent assassin. That was it. That was the whole book. Pretty crazy, right? On the next compilation, we go into my favorite of the series, Wings and Ruin, also by Sarah J. Maas. Was this your favorite? Did you hate it? I hate Ianthe and Mrs. Laurent. Anyways, go ahead and tell me in the comments below, because that's the whole thing we do here. I'm ready to get heated about Mrs. Laurent. Next time, we're kicking off with Wings and Ruin. But until then, have a lovely rest of your week, and please stay cozy out there.